Good morning, one and all. Another day, and it's a lovely day. It is, of course, the 5th of March, 2020. It's 41 degrees, few clouds in the sky. The temperature's going to get up to 50 again today. A refreshing morning, and don't forget we're headed into changing the clocks this weekend. Alrighty, welcome to Radio Westchester. Welcome to Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am Bob Marrone. This is your radio station at the train station at 6:33. Let's take a look at the headlines. You know what most of them are already. Coronavirus cases in Westchester jumped to 10, and they're all right here within a stone's throw of this radio station here in New Rochelle. Fears shut down 2 school districts as well in this county. A suspect is in custody for the murder of pro football player from Mount Vernon. A Bronxville doctor claims to have cracked the code of human intelligence. And the judge who was the father accused of so-called sex cult at Sarah Lawrence will stay behind bars. Those stories and more, of course. So we'll talk a little bit about the election, and no one really knows what Elizabeth Warren's going to do. But first, we have to share the traffic with you. Did I say the traffic? But what I meant was the weather. And the weather is brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhgc.com. Like we said, if you look out the window now, you walked out to your car already and you're listening on your headphones, guess what? It's sunny and clear. It's 41. It's getting up to 50 today. Tonight, partly cloudy, though, getting down to 36. Comfortable sleeping weather, I guess. Friday, that's tomorrow, increasing clouds with late day snow or rain. The temperature will be 45. Saturday, lots of sunshine and breezy. The high will be 43 degrees. And on into Sunday, more sunshine still. Now get this, it's getting up to near 60 again, but we're going to get down to 39 at night. We'll take that. We'll take near 60 in the day, 40 at night is what it boils down to. And some high thin clouds, though, also on Sunday. And once again, the weather brought to you by our friends at United Hebrew, who also bring you this bottom of the hour. United Hebrew of New Rochelle, top-rated campus of senior care. Visit uhdc.org. Now they tell us. Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Pena & Khan, Dominic's Fine Cigars, pardon me, and plug-in virtualreality.com. Let's get into the weather. But once again, welcome to the program. Now remember, many of you are watching us on Facebook right now. Some of you are watching on YouTube, and those are very reliable no matter what goes wrong. But all signatures, or I should say cylinders, are firing today. We are, of course, on Radio Jaw, RadioWestchester.com, Mornings with Bob Marrone, and they can be accessed through the .com aggregator called MyTuner Radio. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, and if I forgot one, they're all in there. I guess, did I forget YouTube, Periscope? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's get into those stories. And the stories are as close to home and as current as a story can be. The number of coronavirus cases here in Westchester County has jumped to 10. This from all sources. Last week, a New Rochelle attorney, as you know, became sick and tested positive for the coronavirus. His wife and 2 children also tested positive. And now that extends to the neighbor who drove the attorney to Lawrence Hospital in Bronxville last week. They tested positive, or rather he did. A friend of the attorney tested positive, along with his wife and his 3 children, bringing the number of Westchester residents up to 10. Now, out of the 10 local cases, the attorney is the only patient hospitalized, but he had an underlying respiratory illness. Pardon me. His condition is stable. So the number of cases confirmed statewide is now 11. This out of News 12, 2 local school districts have announced they will be closed through the weekend after some students were possibly exposed to the virus. In Mount Vernon, all schools are closed for the rest of the week as 2 students from the district are under quarantine. The students are siblings who attend Columbus and Rebecca Turner elementary schools, and their family has been quarantined for possible exposure to the virus. District officials told News 12 that the student's mother may have had direct contact with the New Rochelle attorney, who indeed did test positive for the virus. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll be talking about that. Mayor Noam Bramson of New Rochelle will be joining us at 9 o'clock sharp today to give us an update on what is being done in the Queen City to keep the virus at bay as best they can. It is 6:39. This out of News 12 this morning as well. Phoenix police have made an arrest in the December 2019 slay of Mount Vernon native Lance McDowell. The station was told that the suspect is 28-year-old Christopher Verland Ayers III of Phoenix, Arizona. McDowell, 25, was fatally shot in Phoenix, where he resided and plays for the Arizona Rattlers. He was known for being an inspiring voice for young players. The suspect has an arrest record dating back to 2010. He is being held at the Maricopa County Detention Facility on second-degree murder charges. Now, here's one for you. A Bronxville doctor claims he has cracked the code to human intelligence. He hasn't cracked this head yet. He would be greatly disappointed. Dr. Robert Flowers says the breakthrough discovery called a potential molecule can unlock powerful secrets that will allow anyone to achieve greater success. This come out of News 12 today. I'm going on with this story, but I keep thinking because it made the top stories, okay? And what about culture? What about education? What about learning to deal with disappointment, etc.? This isn't ringing true to your host here. Anyway, he said, I was married, 3 young kids, and working in finance. I was doing well. I just wasn't satisfied and with what was going on in my life, and I wanted to understand what it was all about. So it led him to a world-renowned geneticist, one Dr. Darren Langham. Dr. Flowers says his team has treated thousands of people since forming Gilchrist Institute of Human Understanding, and his website is packed with testimonials. That's like the people who come on our air and tell us crystals will hear them. And they also, believe in things like horoscopes and stuff. But hey, whatever floats your boat in this difficult world. A judge ruled Monday that the father accused of running a so-called sex cult out of Sarah Lawrence College will stay behind bars as his criminal case unfolds. The decision happened in a Manhattan courtroom as Lawrence Ray's attorneys tried fighting for him to be released on bail. The 60-year-old has been in federal custody for the last 3 weeks. Lawrence Ray's father and stepmother both vouched for Ray to be released on bail, despite the long list of federal charges against their loved one, which includes sex trafficking and extortion. You remember Ray was arrested last month at his New Jersey home for allegedly sexually and physically abusing at least 7 victims and extorting them as well. Investigators say it began when the dad moved into his daughter's Sarah Lawrence dorm a decade ago, gaining the trust of college students and then manipulating them. We need to take a good look at sports this morning. If something's going on at the Garden again, a public rift between superfan Spike Lee comparing it to throwing icon Charles Barkley out of the 2017 game. The chaos that surrounds the Knicks will make it tough for new president Leon Rose. Anyway, he has not, this icon of the Knicks, at least as a fan, has not been now to 3 games in a row. I know that's the biggest sports story today. The Knicks lost. They lost last night. Never had a lead. 112 to 104. And let's see what else is going on. The Nets lost as well. But now there's a story, and it stuns a Westchester native, they're saying. Donovan Mitchell thought it was just crazy. How could Spike Lee, a notorious Knicks superfan, who Mitchell, a Knicks fan himself, grew up admiring from afar, be given a hard time upon entering Madison Square Garden? Excuse me, I have to sneeze. I have an off button, so you could see me sneeze, but they couldn't hear it. Hopefully you didn't either. All right, let me get to the story. It involves Westchester. Okay, growing up in Westchester County, Mitchell considered the big-name director to be synonymous, that is Spike Lee, with the Knicks, and it was when Gate Gate garnered even more attention after the Knicks released a statement Monday calling Lee's accusations laughable. I don't know exactly what happened, but I just reacted to what I saw, Mitchell said after putting up 23 points in Utah's 112-104 win over the Knicks on Wednesday. When the 23-year-old heard of Knicks' side of the story in a clip posted on ESPN, Mitchell let his thoughts become public, replying, "That's crazy." He maintained his stance of disbelief when asked about the incident. So I don't know what happened. Evidently, he was questioned when he entered the building. Again, he got into arguing with an MSG security guard over whether he was using the proper entrance. And man, that guy spends a lot of money for his front row seats. But everybody's got to play by the rules, folks. I mean, we go and yell and scream on the radio that the president has to follow the rules as well. He should. And yesterday we saw where the leader of the Democratic Senate, Chuck Schumer, isn't following the rules. You know, just 3 days after I did a story that I was uncomfortable with the president, saying maybe Sotomayor and one of the other liberal Supreme Court justices, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, should sit idle when his cases come before them. Now, Mr. Schumer comes out and one-ups that, maybe three-ups it by not very vaguely threatening them. Now, I don't know just how deeply what he meant, and then he tried to backpedal, but we cannot go around, neither the president nor can Mr. Schumer, Senator Schumer, go around threatening Supreme Court justices or making suggestions about what they should or should not do. It's bad enough that when we vet them, that we we try and find out how they'd vote on these hypothetical cases, which in and of itself is a disgrace. But we cannot have these men and women treated that way. And kudos to Justice Roberts for coming down hard in his statement about Chuck Schumer, and he should be sanctioned in some way. Now, some people have suggested disbarred or whatever. Now, I wouldn't go that far, but I certainly would sanction him, and I certainly I would put it in the Senate record. And if he does it a second time, well, maybe, I don't know. You can't, well, impeachment this doesn't work in this country. Just throw it out. But some other kind of sanction, maybe cost him money. I don't know. Don't know enough about how all of that works. And meanwhile, the Rangers, they've lost 3 in a row. Now, for those of you who are fans of the New York Islanders or just a decent human being, the hockey player who you saw get cut with a skate the other night, Johnny Boychuk, on the New York Islanders, his eye is fine. Typical hockey player, but he says, "Oh, I'm going to be fine. No damage to the eye. He gave me 90 stitches, and I'm as good as new." Oh, my goodness. He will be fine. He'll be out until his eye opens again. But other than that, his eye, the actual eyeball, is fine as we continue to give a quick look at sports. Now, thank God Jake Schaefer's with us, because I have to be terribly honest about this. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't follow it or enjoy it, because who am I to say that? More people love college basketball than love hockey, which I certainly do. But man, I just can't develop any interest in it. I don't know why. It's always been that way, even though I coached Industrial League ball. It's just the way it is. Also in sports today, for those of you who wonder about the money they make, the NHL salary cap is projected to be between $84 and $88 million for the 2021 season, an increase from the current cap of $81 million. This, the league told its GM. So that's pretty good. Now, the NHL is not allowing its employees, by the way, to make work-related trips outside of North America. This in response to global fears over the coronavirus. And if any of those employees go on their own, where the virus has been found, they will be quarantined. It is 6:46. I know we have to do the weather again a little bit, but I do want to cover a couple of other stories that are in the national news again. Justice John Roberts slammed Chuck Schumer. Good for him. We cannot have this. I just cannot stress this enough. It bothers me no end that Chuck Schumer did that. And he was obviously trying to curry favor with the choice, people, but went absolutely too far, at least in my view. We're going to go and do that weather as we promised. We do it every 15 minutes, but then we'll be right back to some other stories that are regional and national. You're listening to Radio Westchester here on the station at the train station. This is Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am he. Welcome to the program on this beautiful day. The weather's brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhgc.com. It's 41. My goodness, it's going to get up to 50 today. It is sunny. It's going to stay that way. Tonight, though, partly cloudy. Temperatures will be 36. Friday, increasing clouds with late-day snow or rain. The temperatures will be 45 degrees. The wind will be out of the east, headed to the north. It's going to twist around, I guess, the classic northeaster, 5 to 15 miles an hour. Saturday, lots of sunshine and breezy. The high will be 43 degrees. And on it Sunday, sunshine through hyphen clouds, getting up to 55. And usually when they say that, folks, it's going to kiss 60 degrees. All right, now something that they did do, and I was kind of surprised by this, the New York Post, and some people mentioned it to me last night. There was by the way, I don't have the coronavirus. This is just a little sniffles. It's allergy related. But for those of you who may know the individual, his name has been published. I'm kind of wondering why, but it's out there. It's in the Post, so we're going to say his name in case you know him and you want to wish him well. Evidently, he gave permission. I don't know if the HIPAA permits the press from putting his name out there. But it is a scary situation. New Rochelle lawyer Lawrence Garbuz and wife Adina, plus 2 of their kids and another family, have all tested positive. Take a seat. Relax for a moment. And we've got a cruise now with a new death has been reported. The U.S. coronavirus death toll climbed to 11 on Wednesday when a California resident succumbed to the illness, which he likely caught on a Princess Cruises ship last month. And now we go to, and I'm still waiting. I've been checking all night for California to come in. But right now we're still boiling everything down, to Mr. Bernie Sanders and, of course, Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is now in the lead. This is the count. Democratic delegates awarded so far. Now, you need 1,991 delegates to win the nomination. Joe Biden has 566, Bernie Sanders 501, Elizabeth Warren 61, Michael Bloomberg 53, Pete Buttigieg 26, Amy Klobuchar 7, and Tulsi Gabbard has 1. And as we all know, Michael Bloomberg didn't do too well. He got Samoa, though. It's always nice to get Samoa. Tiny consolation prize for him. But one of the things that he's succeeding at doing, whether we can judge him on how sincere he was. I think he would have liked to be president, but I also know his goal, or at least it appears that his goal was to keep Mr. Trump out of the White House for a second term. And he has now endorsed the president, the former Vice President Joe Biden. And naturally, as you thumb through the Post, I did all the other papers. You see, I got the Post. It's the one paper I get in hard copy. Everything else I get online. And I do all my research early in the morning and late at night. But I like to get the Post, the hard copy, because it's got the best sports section in town, that's for certain. But also, they are going to make sure that I'm kept honest, because I'm not the greatest fan of the president, and I have to have that bias checked. And the best way to check it is to look at the Post. Naturally, Miranda Devine, whom I'm actually going to get on, but she's reminding everybody about all Joe's senior moments. Now, don't get mad at the Post if you're a left-winger, because the Times will more than make up for it. And then, of course, the Wall Street Journal will be a little center-right, and the news is to the left. So you got to read them all. You got to know them all, and that will help you somewhat. But of course, the real story today is the coronavirus right here in our home heath. Now, very interesting yesterday. And a young man just joined us. He's going to be checking out how we do this stuff behind the scenes, and you may actually see his face. So don't be frightened if you see him. He's a very nice, good-looking young fellow. Anyway, yesterday it was announced on Channel 7's, but not Channel 7, excuse me, ABC National News, that bottles of hand sanitizer were going for $100 and $200. Now, there's a kind of a loophole here. It is illegal to price gouge if an emergency is declared by the municipality. But the issue is that municipalities don't like to do that. It panics people. They're trying to balance this. So until they declare a disaster, they're going to be selling this stuff. In fact, what I'm going to do is get somebody on earlier, get a chemist on, if I can, before the show is over today, and see how we can make our own hand sanitizer. I know you need alcohol, okay, the classic alcohol, and probably some sort of a cream or oil might make it happen. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of other stories that have been making news in the last couple of days, and also about a very strange phenomenon called Generation Q, and they're conspiracy theorists who've now gone mainstream, kind of like what Steve Bannon did with that website. So stay right there. It is 6:55. You're listening to Radio Westchester. I'm Bob Marrone. This is Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am he. We'll be back right after this. We have returned. Welcome back to Radio Westchester. It is 6:58. Let's take a look at who we're going to have on the show today and what we're going to be talking about. But again, I'm going to get to this new Generation Q in just a moment. We've got Vince Russo calling in at 7:20. We'll get his sensibilities about the aftermath of Super Tuesday. We were here till 1 o'clock in the morning, and that was just a great, great show. And we're going to talk about some of those young people in just a few minutes that came in or that called in from across the country. John Bailey, he is our man in White Plains. He'll be here at 7:35. Jake Schaefer, the producer and sports guys, on at 8 o'clock. At 8:20, City Councilman Al Tarantino joins us. And then at 8:35, the former county executive, who is also a political analyst. Now we'll get his take on what happened. And also, how does someone who manages, let's say, a county of 1 million people or a state of 10 million or a country of 300 million, how do they balance making sure they protect the population at the same time they don't panic them? And then at 9 o'clock, we will talk with Mayor Noam Bramson, New Rochelle, find out what is being done to keep people as safe as could be, given the givens. And after that, we'll talk with our friends from Choice. They're the organization that gets the homeless off the street and gets them into care. They'll be coming in person. Once again, it is 41 degrees. It's sunny. What a nice day. I hope you enjoy it. Now let's get down to cases. Again, Vince will be joining us directly. Last night I was thumbing through to get stuff done and to put a show together for you. And this is going to sound, folks, like it's right-wing bashing, and that's not its intent. It may have that effect, and it may even be justified, but that's not the intent I do the story. The intent of this story is how across America, rumor, conspiracy theories are not just some little backwater thing that goes on in the classic tinfoil hat brigade. This one has gone rogue. This one now has gone from rogue to mainstream. And I don't even know if I can pronounce it right. It's called QAnon. And it's pulled many ordinary Americans deep into the conspiracist fringe. Now, I'm just going to read almost verbatim a couple of paragraphs so you get a sense for it. And this tells you where some of the things come from that you've heard about. For example, 2 years ago, or was it maybe more now, Hillary Clinton, as incredible as it may seem to you, was accused of setting up a ring in a pizzeria, in Virginia, that she was selling babies into sex slavery, et cetera. Anyway, let me just cover this. And this comes out of, it was a New York Times, a huge piece, but the aggregator called The Week took a segment of the story. A city council member in California took the dais and quoted from QAnon, a pro-Trump conspiracy theory about deep state traitors plotting against the president, concluding her remarks, "God bless Q." A man spouting QAnon beliefs about child sex trafficking swung a crowbar inside a historic Catholic chapel in Arizona, damaging the altar and then fleeing before being arrested. And outside a Trump campaign rally in Florida, people in Q T-shirts stopped by a tent to bear outlandish tales of Democrats secretly torturing and killing children to extract a life-extending chemical from their blood. And what began online more than 2 years ago as an intricate, if baseless, conspiracy theory that quickly attracted thousands of followers has since found footholds in the offline world. QAnon has surfaced in political campaigns, criminal cases, merchandising, and at least one college class. Most recently, the botched Iowa Democratic caucuses and the coronavirus outbreak have provided fodder for conspiracists. QAnon fans shared groundless theories online linking liberal billionaire George Soros to technological problems that hobbled the caucuses and passed around bogus and potentially dangerous treatments for the virus. Now, folks, I can go on and on with this piece. What you can do is go online, and the article is called Generation Q. A version of the article was originally appeared in the New York Times. But look it up. Now, this is apropos to a story we did a few weeks ago. That I'm not making this up. There's actually a group of people who go to Las Vegas every year, and they have a full-fledged seminar, hundreds of people. And the whole purpose, the entire purpose of their conference is to prove that the world is flat. And when I sort of get the Generation Q thing in that people tend, and I always go back to something that Mr. Napoleon once said. Folks, don't attribute to malice what's more likely the result of incompetence. But the converse is true. There are people who don't like the president, and then they criticize him for this or that or the other thing, and then they'll come out and say, but he has this grand conspiracy to do this. Well, if he's so incompetent, how can he do that? Similarly, and where I always cut the president, and again, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but where I always cut him slack is the president's not a particularly articulate guy. So he'll say something that everyone who's honest knows is just his being inarticulate, and they'll say, oh, he said that. Similarly, the people that hated Barack Obama, and they were legion, they will say that he was the most incompetent, unable to be president, intellectually challenged, bad decision-making apologist for America who couldn't find his butt with two hands, yet during the 2016 election, he had this whole conspiracy running, this excellent underground conspiracy to underline Trump and to make things he wanted to happen. It can't be both ways. And so, but this is in our culture. And it scares me because people believe this. Now, I'm looking at a picture where people are actually at a rally about this, believing this stuff. Now, some of the final things here are about online chat rooms, Facebook groups, Twitter feeds. You can find a lot on the web about this QAnon. But some QAnon fans are hardened conspiracy buffs who previously believed other fringe theories, such as the bogus claim that the September 11 attacks were an inside job. Now, those were people who were anti-Bush people. They wanted to believe it was an inside job. So this obviously exists on both sides, but my goodness, doesn't that scare you? Now, we got a few shorts for you, some interesting stuff that I wanted to share before we open up the phones and go to our guests. A researcher from Cornell found that overweight men, and I guess the president fits this, but Jimmy Carter certainly didn't. Bill Clinton fits it. Overweight men have greater perceived leadership potential in the workplace because of the big man, quote unquote, stereotype. The findings do not apply to women. Well, obviously not. Okay, the world's tough on women and their body types. Now, this is good. This is one of those stories, and I'm looking back at my guest who's here to check out the technology. So people are going to see me, sir. In fact, they probably see you there. But you're on TV. You got to like this. This person should not be allowed to breed. An armed robber, or two armed robbers who made off with more than $320,000 in opioid pills from a Florida pharmacy were arrested by police who simply followed the breadcrumb-like trail. They kept throwing the empty bottles out the window. That's like the guy's story I've told many times on the air. One of the first stories I ever did 20 years ago. I've never forgotten it. A guy robs a gas station, takes off, and he gets lost. So what you do when you get lost, you drive around, you look for a gas station. So he pulls up to the back of this gas station that he came upon, and walks around the front to ask for directions. And he sees all these, he gets nabbed by the police cars, and it was the same gas station that he robbed. I love stories like that. It's a mental disability of sorts in my case. It is 7:07. An Iowa lawmaker wants to require people to declare their sexual orientation when applying for a marriage license. Republican State Senator Dennis Guth says his bill was inspired by the collapse of a friend's marriage after her husband revealed he was gay, and that it would help a spouse sue for damages if someone falsified his sexual orientation. And this is under the header of Only in America. Another one, a New York woman who falsely reported that she had been the victim, this is a great one, had been the victim of a racist assault, is appealing her conviction, saying the lie was free speech. Lies are free speech, I guess. Aisha Burwell is her name. She claimed in a 911 call and on Twitter that she and her friends were jumped by an N-word shouting mob in 2016. Surveillance video showed otherwise, but Burwell's lawyer argues that if lying on Twitter is a crime, someone would have to arrest our president immediately. I mean, well, I understand that that's true. Jeez. All righty, we got a couple more before we get rocking here. Once again, it is 41 degrees and sunny. It's an absolutely beautiful day. It's going to be 55, so go and enjoy the day. This is the day you want to go to the park with lunch. Although I'm going to be talking in a moment about the fact that there was a news report last night on one of the national channels that our restaurants here in New Rochelle are seeing less business. I think you're plenty safe to go out to our restaurants, folks, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, this is under the header of how did I miss it? I didn't see it on the national news. I didn't see it in all the newspapers I checked, but I'm sure it happened, or maybe I was busy. But you all remember Hosni Mubarak. Hosni Mubarak, the Egyptian strongman who was toppled during the Arab Spring, died this week at age 91. You remember he became the president after Anwar Sadat was shot. He was 29 years in power. He raked in billions of dollars in U.S. military aid for his country as a secular guardian of Egypt's peace. Now, during the Arab Spring in 2011, he pushed back the uprising, and some 800 protesters were killed. He was indicted. He was overthrown. He later appealed his conviction and won the appeal. But he did. He spent a lot of time incarcerated during that time, but then he was let out, and he died in his mansion at the age of 91. But he is a classic case of the kind of strongman that America benefited from. And this is neither good nor bad. I do have a horse in the race. Sometimes when you're worried about only your country, and that is your obligation as a president, as a foreign service officer, the military. He was a friend to America, but yet the way he ran his country was not something that, in the best of times, America would agree with doing. So that's pretty much what's going on today. Now, let's get back to the coronavirus here. We're going to be talking with the mayor at 9 o'clock. What I'm concerned about is, and clearly the president has to worry about this on a national level, the governor locally, and the whole world in terms of its economics. That's why the interest rate was cut. If a factory closes and people have to go home and they stop making goods, sometimes those people get furloughed and they don't get paid. The less number of goods on the market means that the price of the goods that are available will necessarily go up. And so what you have is a not a double-edged sword, a very sharp sword that is sharpened from two sources. One, people won't have a lot of money. Two, the prices of things will go up, and these are very serious concerns. Now, what I find interesting, and just to mix politics with economics, and they're totally tied together, by the way, is that not that necessarily Joe Biden is who people want to vote for, but when Joe Biden won the Super Tuesday sweepstakes, if you will, the other night, the stock market went up. Generally speaking, that tells economists and the people that look at the political end, the socioeconomics of politics, that if it ain't going to be Trump, they certainly didn't want Bernie. So if it's down to Trump or Biden, they can live with that. And so the market took a little bump. So that's just an interesting thing. Anyway, what we saw reported last night on some of the national news is that here in New Rochelle, and yes, your city is in the eye now, is under the microscope of the press. And it's going to be here for a while. We have the most concentrated number of cases that it would be right here, folks. It's just one of those lucks of the draw. And what they are going to be looking at is how well the city handles it, for good or ill. We're going to get a report card on this. And people are frightened, and people in the North End who live close to the gentleman who became ill are going to be frightened. But the restaurants, we've got some great restaurants in town, and time allowing, I am going to go to one of them today or tomorrow with my mic and eat there openly. I believe that they are safe. I do not believe you're going to get sick going to the restaurant because I worry. These are important businesses here in our town, so try and give them their due. It is 7:13. It's 15 minutes since our last shot at the weather. So we're going to do it again. And as you can see, I have to reach too far for that button. That button eventually has to get closer. So I'm doing a little training on the job. You got a problem with that? Of course you don't. Welcome to the program once again. This is Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am Bob Marrone. This is Radio Westchester, your radio station at the train station. Just want to be sure we're going out with enough power. Yes, we are. It is 41 degrees, but before we do that, I failed you because the weather's brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhgc.com. Look out your window. It's lovely out. In fact, it was kind of weird because when I cracked the mic to open the show today, it was sunny out, and usually it's dark. And people look in and they wonder why the lights are on in here. Also, and we'll cover this by tomorrow, because today you'll forget it if I tell you, but this is the week you have to put the clocks forward. And let me tell you, as someone who does morning radio, I hate when they take the hour from me. I hate it. I hate it. I cry like a baby. I lose an hour's sleep. Every minute is precious when you get up at 4:30. Trust me. All righty. It is 41, as we said. The temperature is going to get up to 50 today, maybe 55. We love it because it'll be sunny all day. Tonight, partly cloudy. Partly cloudy. Sorry, it's a little loud, wasn't it? Partly cloudy. The temperature will be 36 degrees. The wind will be out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour. Friday, increasing clouds with late day snow or rain. The temperature will be 45. The wind out of the east. The classic northeast wind 5 to 15. Saturday, lots of sunshine and breezy. The high will be 43. Sunday, sunshine through high thin clouds, getting up to near 60. The overnight low goes down to 39. And the top of the hour is brought to you by Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Payne & Kahn, Dominic's Fine Cigars, and Plug-in Virtual Reality, and also United Hebrew of New Rochelle, a top-rated campus of senior care. Visit uhgc.com. We've got time for a call if you'd like to call in. 914-7... almost gave the wrong number out. Almost gave the advertising number out. No, 914-222, like Desmond Tutu, 222-3141. 914-222-3141. What's your reaction to the coronavirus? Most people, and this is my sense of it, most people who've been on the planet for a while and who are out in the world know that they can't afford to be too panicked over this thing. And where I think the president has taken some unnecessary heat is in his efforts to control panic. There are some facts about this illness that we need to know. Most people who get it won't be terribly, terribly ill. It'll be like getting the flu. It does have a fatality rate greater than the flu, but it's still 2%. It's not 20% like the plague of 1918 or 25 or 50 or 40% like the Black Death was. It's 2%. Now, what's going to happen, and those statistics are going to be popping up, those statistics are going to be popping up, and they're going to scare you, because right now there's some 80,000 people who have the disease, and that's going to go to 100 and 200,000 and 300,000, and more people are going to get it. And what will happen, kind of interestingly, is that after people embrace those numbers, the numbers will become less meaningful, because it'll just be one more thing out there in the zeitgeist that people get. Now, that's still not a good thing, and you do want to avoid it, but it will peak. It has not peaked yet. And one of the things I noticed, the governor, the president, George Latimer, whom we had on 2 days ago about it, and I'm sure we'll hear from the mayor today, they don't want you to panic, but they do understand that if you're not in good health, if you are have a weakened immune system, you want to avoid areas with lots and lots of people in them. But anyway, I digressed. It is 7:18. That means it should be time for Vince Russo, who joins us about this time each and every morning. Good morning, Vince. How are you?
Good morning, Robert.
Well, see, now Vince is up in New Jersey, as you know. He's a public official, a Republican, by the way, one of those rare breeds in the Northeast. He's about as common as a donut at a Weight Watchers meeting. But how are you guys dealing with it in New Jersey? I know you got a case over, I guess, somewhere. I forget where it was, Silver Lake or something.
Yeah, there was a case reported, I think, down in Hackensack. It's really the same as everybody else's right now. The governor is just urging people to exercise caution. The usual precautions that people have to go through. I was really surprised the other day. I listened to Governor Cuomo, and I actually agreed with him. I was really shocked. He was saying that we're going to see more cases because we're testing more. And he said if we tested for the regular flu to the extent we're testing for the coronavirus, we would see hundreds more regular flu cases.
Which was my point statistically.
Yeah.
That, it's, it reminds me of the dynamic when I was getting over depression. You don't get well in a straight line, and I'm showing people you get well like this. So the problem is at each peak when you start to feel bad again, it's like, oh God. Well, these pandemics are like that. People are going to be frightened and feel terrible because it's happening, but then it's just going to be a part of your everyday. I mean, this flu is going to be out there.
Then of course, the president said he has a hunch that the World Health Organization mortality rate, that figures they're giving, is not accurate.
But that's a hoax?
Well, no, he just has a hunch.
He has a hunch.
That's the case.
Well, again, I feel for him though, because he's got to keep the world from pain. This is one time where I totally understand what he's trying to do. He doesn't want people to panic when the fatality rate is 2%.
Well, that's true, but that was the mistake that they made with the Spanish flu back in 1917. The Spanish flu started here in the United States.
I thought the coronavirus was the Spanish flu. Yuck. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? They did a survey. 30% of people think it comes from drinking Corona beer. It's true.
Did you hear the story I did before about the QAnon people? Did you hear that story? Were you listening?
No.
Of course not. You weren't listening. You're a guest and you don't listen to this. Anyway, you should have. It's this conspiracy group that's now gone mainstream that actually believes the stuff like Hillary Clinton running a baby farm out of a pizzeria, and that the Democrats extract the blood from babies to poison people and stuff. You can't. I mean, why do they let these people breed? Anyway, God, I'm sorry. So 30% of the people think it's from Corona beer.
Yeah, they do. But I wanted to. I know you're talking mostly about coronavirus.
No, I wanted to. I know you wanted to go to the election.
I did want to comment about the primary election.
Of course you did.
This seismic shift that we've seen. One of the things to me that it points out is the fallacy of having these staggered primaries.
Well, particularly from these podunk states with 8 people in them.
Absolutely. Because you have a situation, and usually it works in the reverse. Usually it works that someone captures Iowa and New Hampshire, and all of a sudden everybody else gets kicked out of the race because those early states, people stop contributing, et cetera, because they didn't win. And Joe is an exception. I mean, he didn't do well in the first 3 primaries, and then all of a sudden he came about in South Carolina, and then on Super Tuesday it was a big turnaround. So, I've been saying this for years. I mean, we just need to have a national primary day where people across the country, here in New Jersey, we don't even have a say in the primaries. We vote in June. By that time, the horse has left the barn. It's all said and done, and we just go through the motions. So somebody made a good comment the other day where they were saying that, okay, so Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, they've dropped out and all that, but people in upcoming races have not had a chance to vote for them.
Well, that's very true. That's very true. Apropos of this discussion, people are making a big mistake thinking that Michael Bloomberg is no longer a factor. And this isn't because he was my guy. He was my guy for all the obvious reasons. But I've always believed his intent is, for people who prefer this or not, I've always believed that his intent is to get Donald Trump out of the White House. And he is going to continue to write checks. But to do it and to do it legally, he's going to have to set up a super PAC. But he's not going away. I mean, he is just not going away.
It's amazing to think he spent $500 million.
He's got $68 billion, and he's going to be
I
dead
know.
within the next 10 years. You think he cares?
I know. It's really
and
amazing.
I do believe he's a patriot. I honestly do. And I do believe that he feels that Donald Trump is a clear and present danger, that he believes that.
But, again, he's another example of what I'm saying about the primaries.
Yeah.
There may be people, in other parts of the country who would have heard his message maybe longer and voted for him if there was a national primary. So I think we really need to do that. I mean, this whole business about, Iowa always wants to be first. Who gives a darn?
You know what I like about your style? Do you remember on Saturday Night Live, Rosanna Dana? This whole business about you preface a lot of your points about this whole business. We can do like a Vince. We can actually do like a send up to you. This whole business about, and the other one that you used. Well, you used to use it a lot in your ultra conservative days. Oh, that crowd, the Hillary Clinton crowd.
Oh, I say it now, the AOC crowd.
God bless you. My guest is Vince Russo. It's 7:25. You're listening to Radio Westchester, your radio station at the train station. Go ahead.
I'm watching you on YouTube, and I'm curious, what is that apparition lurking behind you? Who's
this young man, I introduced him, okay. Now, your first name again? Oh, I almost forgot. Collins Cox is someone I need someone who, as we grow and we do stuff, who can fix these computers. You know how I am technically.
Oh, good.
There are blind people who can't see who could do better with this technology. Blind people that can't see. That was really good. I mean, can't hear. Shut up. I need help, okay? So he and plus, I just want to see if he's interested in any of the crazy stuff we do here in radio behind the scenes. Because as you know, I'm doing both right now.
So what do you have on this young man? Do you have pictures of him with farm animals or something?
No,
How is he working for you?
He's a highly educated young man who understands technology. I'm going to put him on the air later. He's going to hate me for it. So he's behind me because you've been in here. This is where all the equipment is. See, let me do this. Where which camera?
That's like Willie Sutton. He said, "Why do you rob banks?"
Shut up.
He goes, that's where the money is.
You see, folks, all this. It's like a spaceship back here. I got all this damn computers and this darn radio board down there and computers up there and computers up there.
There it is.
And computers stacked there. And I need someone who knows what I'm doing because I don't.
Estimated computer, all computers.
You remember my brother-in-law, God bless him, when he first opened up that and this is no. I'm not casting aspersions. My brother-in-law is Arabic. He's a Lebanese guy who, by the way, just to show you, top secret clearance from the United States as an engineer working with Saudi Arabia. But he has that accent, and I'll never forget when you brought that old shoot box of a Volkswagen to his shop, and it was when they first introduced computers to cars, and he kept saying. Yeah. I don't know, Robert. It's got that computer brain. Remember that? It confuses me. I know, but my friend called. He wants his car back. Not until I figure out the computer brain.
Hey, Baba's got to be well into his 70s now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I did. I call him Baba. Now you're making an ethnic slur. No,
I'm not.
I gave him that nickname 50
Ali
years. I did the day I met him. My sister introduced me to him first. And, being totally ignorant as an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old as I was, naturally every Arab had to be Ali Baba. So I called him Baba. Meanwhile, he was a Shia Muslim, crazy uneducated. Folks, talk about the American dream. This guy comes here as a teenager and paid his own way through college, by the way. Yeah. Opened up a shop because he was mechanically inclined. Opened up a repair shop. Used that money to pay for school and became a major engineer for Pratt & Whitney. And then he became their representative to the Middle East. Tells great stories, but I tortured him. It's Anyway, he's about 76 now, something like that.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of us. Well, I'm sorry. Please don't get upset with me. He has white hair.
Well.
No, Vince doesn't have white hair. Well, you do, right? You have
the little I have of it is gray, but...
That's right. I'm not the type to cast aspersions. So where do you think this is going in terms of the election? I do believe that a lot's going to hinge on who Biden picks as vice president. I think he's going to win the nomination. I think.
Well,
that's
I think he's going to pick Klobuchar. I think it's a natural fit. You know, she's moderate the way he is. She is a woman, obviously, and I think she's got some.
Hold on, Vince. I have some breaking news, and it's not breaking. I just noticed it in one of the newspapers. This is an update, folks, on a number we gave you earlier, about 2% rate. It's being reported today in the Associated Press and the New York Post. The death rate now from the novel coronavirus is now 3.4%. So just so you know.
Well,
hello, newsflash. Oh, you ever heard of that? It's a news show.
I broke that about 10 minutes ago, but
you did?
Yeah.
You didn't? Did you say it to me?
That's what Trump was saying. He has a hunch.
Oh, but you didn't tell me it was 3.4. I've been telling people that's because you didn't listen to the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was sleeping. You know.
Please, don't you make me jealous when you tell me you were sleeping. Do you realize this is my least favorite weekend of the year? See if you can figure that out. See if your minuscule brain can deduce why someone who does morning radio should hate this weekend. Okay.
Because of daylight savings time.
He's real swift, Collins. Go ahead, Collins. What?
Daylight savings
That's
time.
right. They want to move the damn clocks ahead and take an hour of sleep away from me. I can't tell you how much. So, see, because I'm not fooled. When the alarm goes off at 4:30 come Monday morning, I know it's really 3:30. My body hurts to 3:30. My brain aches for 3:30.
Yeah, but didn't you bank that hour from the fall?
Yeah, right. I put it in a sleep bank. A lot of good that does. All right. You know, you're not being very nice today. I can see that.
Well, so to get back to the election, I think it's going to be Klobuchar. And I think,
so do I.
Warren hasn't dropped out yet, I don't think, although yesterday they said that she was going to be reassessing. You come in third in your own state. What's there to reassess?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, you know what was out? You know what, though? What people like yourself who follow this and the papers, her downfall was predictable. None of it was really a surprise. Maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, she went from this, or appeared to have, she went from this woman who was a policy wonk, who had a plan for everything, to sounding like someone who put their hand on a hot griddle. Or sat on it. I mean, I'm just, No, she looked like a puppet.
She was,
arms waving and her head frantically. And then when one of the particular debate formats where you could put up your hand, she was like the kid in the back of the classroom. Pick me, pick me.
Yeah, so I think she's probably going to throw her support to Bernie because they're pretty much aligned, in those kinds of programs. And it's interesting how. I think that the whole
Hey, Vince, do me a favor. Look at your camera, okay? Look at you. Look.
Yeah.
Look at what John Bailey looks like. He looks like he's making a detective movie. He's coming
in to collect protection money.
Joe Biden.
Oh, well, look, hey, I don't have anything this week. It's John Three Fingers Bailey. I don't have nothing. I'm all jammed up. What do you want? You can't come in with that hat on.
What is Mike on?
Give me that. By the way, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to drink a bottle of Purell on the air. Do you know it's like $100?
Yeah.
I know.
John, go ahead.
Capitalism at work.
Again, he doesn't reach the mic. He's one guy shorter than I am. I love it. Can you reach the mic?
Right.
Oh, there you are. But you came in looking like a detective. I like that.
That's what I am.
Oh, is that what you are?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, don't forget tomorrow I drink a bottle.
Journalism has to be a detective.
All right,
if you assume everybody's lying to you, you're not wrong.
Well, see how another he'll be one of these QAnon. Vince, what I want you to do, we still got a couple of minutes, but when we get off the air, when you get off the air, I want you to go to the web and look up something called QAnon. This is the conspiracy theorist group that has now gone mainstream. These are the people that actually believe that the Democrats extract the blood from babies to make strange serums. Now, why do we let people like this breed? Maybe, there's something to sterilization.
It's easier to invent fantasies than live with the truth.
Sounds like my love life. All right, Vince, what else is on your mind today before we go to John Bailey and reset?
No, nothing. I just wanted to tell John, that when he walked in like that,
John, go ahead.
It looked like
John, put on your headphones. He's talking to you.
Okay.
Grab a freaking set of headphones, would you?
Oh,
Oh, hold on. Well, I got to unplug him and plug you in. Hold on.
all right.
got
I was looking for the other set.
It's long enough. Got to pull it. There, you got
I was looking for the other set.
Okay, tell him what did you tell him what you wanted to tell him, Vin?
I was going to say, when John came walking in like that, I thought he was going to say, Bob, Michael says if you can't handle this, I have to.
He came in. I'm surprised. You know what I should have done? I should have handed him a white envelope. Listen, I'm going to be jammed up next week.
I have a black envelope.
I can't pay the vig. Vigorous. We had a hockey coach when we were growing up. He was kind of in these guys used to come down from Bensonhurst with baseball bats for visits. Vince, thank you very much. It certainly has been a pleasure.
All right, guys,
Mrs.
have a good
Wiedemeyer,
day.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vince Russo. All righty, we get rid of him, and we do have to. We do have to do the weather. Every 15 minutes, it's how we roll. Otherwise, I don't get paid. The weather is brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and all of us are going to be in one of these soon. They're good, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhtc.org. Our next guest, he's already in the dock. We'll get to him in a moment. John Bailey, WhitePlainsCitizen.net. He's our man in White Plains. He also has 2 TV shows, White Plains Week and whatever the heck the other one is. He'll tell us when he comes on. It's actually up to 46 degrees. It's going to get up to the mid-50s today. It says 50 officially, but the updates say maybe even a little warmer. It's beautiful. It's sunny. Partly cloudy tonight. The temperature will be 36 degrees, so you'll sleep well. Friday, increasing clouds with late-day snow or rain. The temperature will be 45. Saturday, lots of sunshine and breezy. The high will be 43. The overnight low will be 29 degrees. And on into Sunday. I don't want the 29 degrees. Anyway, Sunday, sunshine through high thin clouds. The high will be 55. And as we reset and we go into the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour, I should say, welcome aboard. I'm Bob Marrone. This is Mornings with Bob Marrone. We are Radio Westchester, your radio station at the train station here in the coronavirus capital of the world, New Rochelle, New York. And this bottom of the hour is brought to you by PluginVirtualReality.com, Dominic's Fine Cigars, the law firm of Payne & Con, Aging Issues Management, their subsidiary, Aging Issues Radio, and also by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, the top-rated campus of senior care. Visit UHCC.com. John has been with this program for years on different broadcasts and radio stations, and it's always great to have John Bailey. John, which TV show did I miss? You've got 2 TV shows.
We have White Plains Week.
What?
Fridays at 7:30.
What's the other one?
Monday. And the other is People to be Heard.
And people are still willing to look at this face. I just put the
Yes.
light on it. I should have turned the light off.
Yes.
I'm
Hello,
no good.
world.
I'm no good. No, don't really turn it off. It's just I don't want to scare people. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Say hello to Colin. Colin's right.
Hello,
Colin's
Colin.
He's learning the ropes back here,
Is he
checking it out,
is
seeing
he
what it's
do-
like.
Is he doing testing?
No,
He is doing testing.
No, he's doing observing.
Okay.
Observing. He's really nice. He's a smart guy, not like you. All right,
No,
John.
if I was smart, I wouldn't
Oh,
be a
you
journalist.
brought your little fun list today. Kristen Brown interview and Alex Rothmeyer offer Albany experience. What the? Oh, these are for the Buckwaldt seat.
That's right.
I talked to Alex. By the way, this is Rothmeyer. Did you know that that's how it's pronounced? He was here the other night.
I fake it. I
had him in
slur
here.
it together.
It's Rothmeyer, but okay, cool.
Yeah, well, he's a
Bright young man.
person.
He's the chief of staff to Mr. Buckwaldt as we speak.
Yes, and he says that this gives him a unique insider knowledge of Albany that the others do not have.
I think there's
right.
some substance to that.
Yes, and then Kristen Browdy also says she has great experience.
What does she do?
lobbying.
Oh, she's a
Yes,
lobbyist?
Yes, for the SAG, she was able to enable
What's the SAG?
Screen Actors Guild.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that a lobbyist for the Screen Actors Guild is going to make a better choice?
Well, she was a lobbyist. She was a very high-placed woman in the SAG, and she realized it was unfair for on-the-air personnel to be prohibited from going to another competitive station in a market for a year if their contracts were either, terminated or not renewed.
No, I understand that. That's
and
all.
she lobbied that and got it through, and that was real talent because the entertainment industry is vicious.
Well, it is, but
What?
still. What
So
is
that-
what is
I
she
was
doing
impressed
now?
with that.
What is she doing now?
Well, she ran for town supervisor in Newcastle and lost in a very close race, and she is a lawyer.
She is a lawyer.
She
She's an
is.
entertainment lawyer.
Yes.
Well, I'll put her on the show a lot if she'll help me.
Yeah. Oh,
I
well,
need-
I mean,
I need an
there's plenty
entertainment
of
lawyer
time.
desperately.
Plenty of time.
Kristen
the
Brown, so
primary
she's-
is June 23rd.
Does she live up there in the North Castle, in the center of the county, up there, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she is a lawyer,
rep-
an entertainment lawyer. Who else? But there are several people in that race. Are there
And
not?
Roithmeyer is in White Plains. He's been a White Plains resident all his life.
Yes,
And he is.
He's
quite,
getting married. He's going to have his 1 year
really
anniversary
savvy,
soon.
rapid fire answers, knows what he's talking about. He's going to try and fix the student loan situation, perhaps at least in New York. But that'll be a tough hoe because nobody wants to. Banks don't want you off the hook. And, just today I didn't get a chance to read it, but apparently the Fed is easing banking rules. That's exactly what we need, don't you think, Con? Easing banking rules. Of course it is, right? Let them make the deals they want, right?
I guess
so that's going to be a tough slag up there.
It is going to be a tough slag. All right, I put more lights on you. I put it a little closer. I want to scare people
Bright
awake.
lights, big
Folks, if you're
radio.
not awake
Right.
yet, this should do the trick. It's not Halloween. Go ahead.
Right. Well, look, we've got a real masquerade going on.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. I mean, how did you like the Monday Night Fix? The Monday Night Massacre?
What was that?
Well, when for some reason, 3 women who have been carrying tremendous, 3 Democratic candidates in the primaries dropped out.
Well, yeah,
They dropped out. Now, why do you think they did that?
because they can't get elected.
That may be. On the other hand, it really cleared the way for votes to swing on over.
Well, deals get cut. Yeah, but why did you call that the man? I mean, it happens in politics all the time. When you don't have a chance
Because
to win, but you
politics
have.
is fixed. You can't believe it sometimes. That was so transparent.
But coming out of a party, we've had this debate all week, and I'd be interested in your comment on it. So long as it's at the party level, I don't care. They should put the best candidate up that they can win. And there's no law against what they did. It may be rigged in that sense. But
quid pro quos are standard.
yeah, well, that's what
Now
we
the
agree on
question
that.
is, will those quid pro quos be honored?
Let me see if I got a nickel here. Your next story says that I could buy a couple of plastic bags with this nickel.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll send that over
City
to the city
passes,
of
White Plains passes 5-cent charge on. What does that mean?
Well, they passed legislation which meant that
not
if you
getting a nickel,
take the paper bags provided by the grocery stores, delis, whatever, that sell foodstuffs or whatever to you, you have to pay an extra 5 cents. Now, of that 5 cents, the city gets about 44 cents of it, 3 cents. And that goes into a fund to help distribute reusable bags to people needing them across the city.
I'm wondering if this is going to work. I wonder if this is one of those things that they'll have to rescind.
Well, you have to. You do. We have a lot of these bags that I have been collecting over the years.
Yeah, you're not
and-
supposed to use them as a briefcase, though.
but no, I mean it's simply a matter of. The problem is you have to figure what do you put the loose perishable garbage in.
Loose perishable garbage.
Yes, like when you're putting unused food in the garbage and all that.
Well,
you have to have a plastic bag.
You can't
or a
have that. You
paper
can't
bag.
use a plastic bag for that.
Well, it's just something. One of the minor irritations.
No, well, we
have
need to sort
deal
that
with
out
now.
because you know what though, they made us think that we had to put everything in the bag, and now I saw this new rule came out in some states where they had created these see-through plastic bags so for your recyclables. Now they're saying you can't do that because they compromise the fact that they're recyclables. So you know what? Now everything, just put it in your can as is, no bags. Do you know the garbage men and women are going to love that?
Well, that attracts rodents.
What's that?
When you put in
Ah,
garbage
no, but
loose,
it's in the recyclables. In other words, rodents don't eat newspapers.
Yeah, but
Some of
look,
them read
I
newspapers.
had that problem once. I kept garbage in the garage, and rats got into it and made a condo in the basement of my garage.
That's
and
good.
I mean, they were. And one time, one of the rats stayed out really late.
Really?
In the morning, the rats work at nights, and so therefore, so I'm going out to put the garbage out, and I lift the top off, and out jumps this huge
Irving or
rat
Roscoe,
caught
whatever
in the
it is.
act. It was one of the. It was a very.
Was it the size of a
strange
cat?
moment.
Was it a big? Was it a big rat?
Yes, a New York City rat. They move up, you know.
They-
It's part of the.
they did a little better.
vibration
They came
out
up
of
to the
New York
suburbs.
City. It's much more
Better
garbage
schools.
in the suburbs.
John
Easier-
Bailey is our guest, our man in White Plains. But I'm just concerned that this is going to work because, and again, I understand it. We don't want
This is the
animals-
least of the problems.
I
believe
know,
me,
but we
Bob.
don't. But you know what though? We don't want people ingesting the bags. But you know, they're going to have to make pretty heavier bags in the when you go shopping, like grocery shopping, and then something wet seeps through the paper bag, like in the movie Home Alone, and it goes all over the floor. All right, let's move on.
Oozing along here.
Oozing along.
Yeah.
The city assessment roll debuted Monday and increased 0.5%. What does the assessment roll indicates? Houses in White Plains
The
at 500
assessment
something.
roll is the most key thing you have every year in figuring out budgets.
Oh, that's right. By the way, I'm in favor of reassessment. Did I ever tell you that? Makes people hate me. But I really
Favor
am.
of what assessment?
Well, you know the way, like, let's say a house is $1 million and it's supposed to be assessed, but it's only assessed at 300,000. Those people, well, of course, they're not going to. They should run to City Hall the same way people do when the house value goes down to get certiorari. Because as a Wall Street guy, we mark to the market, baby. We mark intraday to the market. They should do it with houses too.
You should be short selling like crazy now.
Well, yes, but you could, because you have a lot of the only person with the guts to do it is one of my favorite elected officials here in this state is the guy from Greenberg, Paul Feiner. He did it.
Yes, and what happened?
They almost skinned him alive, but he did the right thing.
No, he did not.
What do you mean he did?
Because they did not assess the commercial properties. Right.
Oh, well, you're right then if they didn't do it all. And
How
also
can-
they do need to make
how-
exceptions for senior
How
citizens.
can a property, if in 1990, go down in value 30 years later? How can that be? That
Oh, but
does
did
not
he
make
assess them?
mathematical.
Did he assess them?
Yes.
No, because then the problem there is in what we would call in Wall Street the algorithm. The problem is in the algorithm, what you put together to come up with the price. Just saying.
No, but they
You know,
it's supposed to be
it's so-
based on
it's so
their
typically
assets and their
American.
books and their profit.
Everybody
That's
wants
what
to
it is.
play by the rules until the rules don't affect them. Then they
Well,
want new
we've
rules.
noticed that a lot. But I mean,
No, but what I'm saying,
reval-
your house is worth $10 million
reval
and it's
is a
assessed for
disaster.
one. You pay for
Reval is a disaster.
Unless it's done
It
right.
is. Well, in Greenberg, it wasn't done right. They're still paying the taxes from 3 years ago.
Okay.
On installment.
Well, you have added a lot more life to.
Aha, that caught a nerve.
750. But you know what that could be? We could be getting. I got to screen this because you're listening to Radio Westchester. We can't take any calls yet, so call back in right at the top of the hour, okay? Bye. That means Mitch wasn't listening. All righty. See, that's the kind of thing that you would be doing when we're actually rolling.
Right.
All right. You made a really good point, and I will give consideration to the senator from White Plains.
Well, but the assessor has to do it right. And when the assessor doesn't do it right, disaster for the property.
You know, I got to
tax-
give you
property
credit.
tax.
The very next line here was New York Assessors Association considering new laws to mitigate the impact of certiorari. See, now, had I read that, I wouldn't have made a fool of myself.
Well, what they are doing is they are going to try and basically assessors are going to lobby Albany to make persons applying for certiorari review every 2 years, not every 4.
Okay.
That way, if they are devalued in assessment, the cities are not stuck with such a huge certiorari bill. And the school districts, not a huge certiorari bill, because they always get what they want.
Well, what they should do
And
is someone needs
they
to.
don't contest them.
in Wall Street, the reason we were able to build, just so you understand this, the algorithms that matter is that there was money to be made in pricing stuff properly, and people would actually buy the prices. The real estate industry needs to do that. Then you could have a real true assessment. All right, Census Day is April 1st. I didn't realize it's that soon. White Plains
Just
High
one
School.
other thing. The assessors also want the case for the lowering of your assessment to be presented 90 days before the certiorari filing date, which gives the cities and districts time to review the, it's like, what do they call it? Disclosure.
Okay.
Disclosure process. Two very good laws which should go to easing the pain of certioraries. Okay, now, Census Day, April the 1st, introduced by White Plains High School. They're going to have a tremendous panel of everybody who is who in politics at the high school and discussing all sorts of things about
What's the purpose of this?
So, what?
What's the purpose of it?
The purpose is to make sure people comply with the census and turn in their data.
Well, why are we telling high school kids this?
Well, it's
Or are they just using the high
it's
school as
just
a
an
venue?
overall
Okay. This is
day.
very good. This is very
Right,
important.
and
All right.
at least it's focusing attention on it. And the other thing about the census is that people have to be aware, and the county has provided a very good tutoring, and also the city of White Plains put out a talk on Monday night at the council meeting from Brian Kinney, the library director, and Karen, and another woman who went over the way the census is taken, and they pointed out how they will not ask you for your nationality. They will not ask you
But
for
how can you
various
do a
personal
census if you
information.
don't?
What?
How can you do a census if you
Well,
don't?
they won't call you for that sort of stuff.
What do you mean?
You know, and if you, they were warning against scams. When
I see,
yes,
when they
yes.
call.
There's a lot of telephone scams out there.
Yes, yes,
Very
and they're all
clever,
sensitive
really
scams.
shake you up.
Yes.
And say his census calls. We notice you haven't turned in your census. You didn't fill out this. You didn't fill out. What is it?
But they won't call you about
They
those
won't
kinds
call
of-
you about
But
that.
you know what we need to
They'll
do?
just remind you to return the census form.
Okay, I got it. Because, you know, the problem with sanctuary cities is, whether you agree with it or not, is separate from the fact that it encourages people not to participate in the census, even though they're allowed to participate.
Well, look, if I am here illegally, I am not going to fill anything out.
Well,
I mean, that is a no-brainer.
I understand that. So, ergo,
Yes.
well, it is what it is. All right, move on. I see number dollar signs here. What's this all about? $546,000.
Well, another effort invented by the city of White Plains, which they got a $546,000 grant for, to attempt a fund to be used to help people whose homes are damaged during a severe weather event or fire. And
But aren't they
keep-
supposed to have insurance for that?
Well, yeah, they do, but sometimes you don't have enough.
Or
And if you're poor, maybe you don't carry as much as you should.
Or, as in the case of hurricanes, you know, damage from hurricanes isn't covered in a lot of cases. Did you know that?
Well, damage from ice dams isn't either.
I got
I'm
ripped up.
responsible for that law because I got Liberty Mutual to fix my ice dam damage back in the mid-'90s. And then the insurance companies took that coverage away.
Yeah, I had a house in Staten Island that the whole side got ripped
Yeah.
off during Hurricane Irene. And when I went to the insurance company, they said, it's no me.
So, in addition to about $325,000 for a fund, this is for 1 year, to help out in emergencies, they are going to hire a community liaison officer for about $125,000
What are they gonna
with this
do?
money. They are going to go around and communicate with neighborhoods, listen to them, and basically provide intelligence on what the neighborhood associations and protest groups are doing.
Well,
However, this is
not a lot of
really
money. Then.
weird.
This is not a lot of money for if that's
Of course,
a small
it's a
amount.
lot of money.
For a fund for damaged homes. $546,000 is a drop in the bucket.
Right. Actually only about 325,000 because you're going to have 125,000 to pay a person to go around and say, "What do you think about this?" and what you have any issues. My feeling is when the city wants to do something, they go in and they sell it to the neighborhood association affected, snow them, and neighborhood associations love being thought as being important. They don't realize they're really not. They are pitched.
My guest is John Bailey. He's our man in White Plains. Yeah. He is the managing editor and publisher of WhitePlainsCitizen.net and also the host of 2 television shows on local cable, White Plains Weekly.
And
one of them.
Beware, if the city comes to you and says this is really going to be good for you, don't be snowed.
Well, isn't that the 4th greatest lie? I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. But I mean, I found this preposterous because they do that anyway when they want something. But anyway, we'll see.
All right.
Sounds like a person that they already have in mind.
Oh, let me ask you something. Has Elvis been seen lately? That's the mayor,
no,
of course.
But they could have had an Elvis impersonator run for president, and he would have won.
Run for the mayor of White Plains, you mean? All you got to do is have that Democratic line, and you win.
Oh, absolutely. But be that as it may, the city is in good shape financially, and the assessment roll, although, is not going up enough. In fact, the assessor was telling me that the homes in the $500,000 to $700,000 range are selling well, but houses over $1 million are not.
Okay. Well, that's probably because of the tax.
But so it's basically
the salt.
Simmering market. It's not red hot as realtors would have you
but
believe.
At the right price, it's pretty good. Okay, what's this about? A city appoints a new judge named after a rubber ball.
Well, no, this was announced Monday
Judge
night.
Lynette Spalding.
Yes, right. She had an entire career working for the Legal Society of Westchester. They provide legal aid.
That's nice.
She's well respected and
congratulations
very effective,
to her. Good for her.
from what I'm told. And so that fills the position vacated when Liz Schallenberger died last August.
Oh, yes. Okay. Now, your next item is Hamilton Green site and extension. Why is it being criticized? They didn't use union employees, I take it.
They fired union employees.
They simply...
Hamilton Green did not fire them.
Who did?
The place where they were going to move the DMV, which was a property sold by Mac Calley, as I remember.
Okay, but is it... Okay.
And they protested that, and so therefore politicians came to the rescue of the SEIU and really supported them, and as a result, the DMV strangely decided they would not go. So that's why they're still in the White Plains Mall, and nothing has been
dungeon.
done.
That's the only nice facility in the mall, if you want to call it that.
Well, it's also very efficient, and of course, with this new super driver's license you're supposed to get, every DMV is extremely jam-packed around the county.
Well, this is true.
Not good, but this is a problem because I believe Hamilton Green got a site plan extension for 3 years because they said we're not going to be able to get it demolitioned until we get the mall vacated. It'll take a year to demolition it. So it's looking like this may not even get started until the 4th year or maybe the 5th year, which means it's not going to take place and be open for 8 years.
Wow. Who knew?
Think about that. 8 years. The market can hold change.
Okay, what about this next item, the Good Counsel property?
Oh, another dragged out project. And that is the property where they want to build a whole bunch of apartments overlooking the Cross Westchester Expressway off of North Broadway. And there is a dispute over how polluted the site is in the lower right-hand corner of the property. And also, they are not going to take that up until May. So they're sort of pushing it out, delaying decision by the Common Council. And it looks to me like looks like another summer, a secret summer approval.
A secret summer approval.
Yes,
we
which
like
is
that.
the way it goes. After everybody goes on vacation, they put it on the agenda for July 5th, right after the 4th, when nobody's paying attention, or early August when nobody's here.
You're growing more cynical every day, as you have to be in this business.
Well, I mean, I see these delays, and I know what the city has done in the past. They approved the FASNY project in August.
Well, and then now they've been in litigation for all
it
these
still
years.
goes on.
Let me see. Hold on. Don't go anywhere yet, John.
I'm
So tell
not
me,
going anywhere.
When's your show this week? What are you talking about? Your
well,
TV show?
Thursday night, we interview Kristen Browdy, the candidate for Buckhall seat, one of the
another one.
6.
Yes. Okay, you're going to interview
Kristen
her.
Browdy, the person we were speaking about at Newcastle. And next week, we interview Mr. Rothmeyer.
Royth. Remember, it's
Rothmeyer.
Rothmeyer. And if you look at the way it's spelled, what he should do is put it the way it's spelled. And when I had him on the show the other day, the guy that produced it thought they were helping me doing it phonetically. But it actually worked out. If you look at it, you'd see it's Royth. It's R-O-I.
Yes.
And that's like Royd. So it's Rothmeyer. It makes sense.
Yes.
John Bailey, it is always a pleasure. You can hang around. We're going to be taking a call from Mitch, and then we're going to be talking with our own Jake. He's calling in today rather than coming Jake Schaefer. It is 8 o'clock on the button. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with the weather and our phones. This is the one, the only Radio Westchester. Welcome back as we enter the 8 o'clock hour. You're listening to Radio Westchester, Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am Bob Marrone. This is the one and only radio station at the train station, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, iTunes, iHeartRadio, RadioWestchester.com. Oh, so many outlets, so little time. Mornings with Bob Marrone, and of course the .com aggregator, MyTuner Radio. It is 44 degrees now. It's getting up to 50 or maybe 55 today. It's sunny, partly cloudy. The temperatures will be 36 tonight. Increasing clouds Friday with late day snow or rain. Don't buy it. Temperature will be 45. I don't think you're going to see any flakes. Saturday, lots of sunshine and breezy. The high will be 43 degrees. The overnight low will be 29. And the weather's brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit UHGC.com. And the top of the hour is brought to you by Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Payne and Kahn, Dominic's Fine Cigars, and Plug-in Virtual Reality. And don't forget, we're going to take this call, and then we're going to talk with Jake in a few moments. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, it's Mitchell. How are you?
I knew it was you. How are you, Mitchell? You've got a lot to talk about. What's on your mind today?
Well, first of all, could I just say, did you see how quickly our friend Tom threw his wife under the bus and blamed her for what we called him out on?
He blamed who?
His wife.
He blamed whose wife?
Tom.
He blamed his own wife? You give people the context, please.
So Tom was trying to tell us something about a bagel.
Tom from Pelham. Oh, yes. No, Tom did not Tom's not a street guy. A stale bagel, you either toast it or you throw it out. You don't,
But I understand. But when we called it on him, he said it was his wife who did it. He didn't even take it. Not only did he take responsibility, he threw his own wife under the bus. I mean, I'm sorry.
Folks, that's another regular caller, Tom from Pelham, that he's throwing under the bus. What are you doing? Are you crunching a potato chip bag or something?
Actually, I am. Nothing like a bag of Lay's potatoes in the morning.
I love Lay's, but don't start me with potato chips. One of my when I die, they're going to find potato chips in the bloodstream. John, you wanted to say something?
No,
No, you're holding on to that. So, what did you think of the outcome of the of Super Tuesday? I noticed you posted. Well, we're glad Trotsky isn't going to run.
I didn't post that. I told you that.
Well, yes.
But listen. Here's the thing. If people are being honest, I have, over the course of the past year, I've had Liz Warren dead. I had Joe Biden dead. I had Bernie Sanders dead. I've had Trump dead. They all seem to come back to life. No matter what you do, you can't kill these people.
But we've seen this before.
Right. So look, it was an unbelievable night for Uncle Joe. I think he's on a trajectory to win, but I would not rule out either Warren or Sanders because somehow.
Stick a fork in Warren. Come on, Mitchell. Stick a fork in Warren. You kidding me?
I stuck a fork in Bernie after he announced that he had a heart attack, and you saw what happened. So I stuck a fork in Biden after he did so bad in the first three primaries, and look where he's at. So I'm not sticking any forks into anybody.
Nah, Elizabeth Warren, she's become a caricature of herself, unfortunately. I'm sure she's a much more formidable woman. She lost her gravitas somewhere along the line. I don't know where it went.
Maybe, but we're seeing. Going to be interesting. Look, I think our boy Trumpy is in a bit of trouble because this is the first crisis that he's had to deal with and not doing so well. Maybe, I hate to say it because I so want to see Donald do well, but I just don't see him doing well. And people are telling me, I'm hearing from people, not me, but I'm hearing from people that he's not doing well about this. I'm reading in papers that he's not doing well. And Bob, I want him to do well. So
yes.
But people are saying, what I'm.
Yeah, no, I understand. I think that I know you want him to do well. I think though one of the things the president's tried to do that he doesn't get credit for is he's tried to keep people from panicking. And I understand, he makes his missteps and stuff, but he should. The governor did so yesterday too. Noam Bramson's going to be with us at 9:00. I'm sure he'll emphasize some of the same things.
You know what though, Bob? You ever watch the movie A Few Good Men when Jack Nicholson said to
you can't handle
Cruise,
the truth.
You want the truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Well, here's the thing, Mr. President. We can handle the truth. We are adults. Talk to us like we're adults. Explain the situation. And instead of telling us there's going to be, possibly there's going to be a miracle that's going to happen, tell us what you're doing.
I don't know. But he should. I think he should handle the truth. And I don't know that he has. I don't think that he's twisted the truth that much with this issue yet. You're dealing with the one broadcaster in America that has indicted America for being cowardly.
Let me tell you something.
After 9/11, the terrorists did achieve what they wanted to do, and all the while that we were screaming, "We'll get them." As long as it was some other soldier and not us, people were afraid to ride the train. They were afraid to get on a plane.
No. I you know what? I'm sorry. I got to totally disagree with you because as much as I dislike Giuliani, he was the man for the moment.
No, he was. Yes.
When he got up and said, "We're going to be safe," New York breathed a sign of relief. So we needed Trump to do that. We needed Trump to do that thing where Bush said, "I could hear you. The world could hear you." We needed that type of moment.
Yes.
We did not get that.
Well, okay. I understand what you're saying. I really do. It's just that he may have rallied the troops, but again, you go out into the streets and people were afraid to go to the bathroom, for God's sakes. What people should have done that felt that way after, they should have gone down to ground zero, raised their hand in the air, and I won't do it on the air, and lift the middle finger up, and go right back into those buildings.
Well,
instead of being afraid to get on an airplane. And now we have we get listened into, and everything we do, we get totally searched. Do you know if a plane went into a building once a week, the odds of the average American dying are like 1 in 10 million. We were cowardly, and it's okay. You know, we've just never been attacked on our own soil before.
Well, actually, we were, but
we were, but we were out in the Aleutians and in Guam, but not really.
There was a place called Pearl Harbor. You might have heard.
Yes, but again, out there, yes. But I'm talking about no one made Chicago into a parking lot. No one bombed us and look, I'm not saying it was great. You know, there were idiots that'll listen to this and saying you support the terrorists. No, they accomplished what they wanted to do.
Bob.
Yes.
I think there were bombs involved in Pearl Harbor.
No, you know what? That's a case of being right about a point, winning the argument, but losing the war. Of course, I understand what Pearl Harbor was. But I'm talking about a city in the contiguous 48 states, which is inhabited by chickens. No one's hit us yet. You know, we weren't hiding in the subways like the London folks did. We didn't live in Dresden when the whole city was on fire and then kept on going to work every day. That's all I'm saying. And look, I understand it, but I think this business that we were the home of the brave, I think we should have stopped singing that for about 10 years. That's all. Just my take.
Well, okay. If you feel that way, I'm not going to try to convince you.
No, that doesn't mean I'm right. It's just my take on it. But and yes, I'm defending that part of what Trump did. He's inarticulate, and he falls victim to that. He shouldn't try and skew the facts, but he's not an articulate guy. But he is right to try and keep us from panicking.
Yes, but unfortunately, he's done just the opposite.
Well, maybe he probably.
And unfortunately, you know, we all joke that at some point the fact that he's unable to tell the truth is going to come back to haunt us.
Well, that's a separate issue. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
No, that is the issue because even his most ardent supporters don't believe him. So why should any of us believe anything that he's saying?
Well, keep in mind
what he should look.
God, I'm sorry.
What he should do, instead of having Dr. Fauci have to pay homage to him every time he talks, just let Dr. Fauci talk about what he's doing, what we need to do, what precautions we need to do. I don't need people kissing his ring every time they begin that conversation.
Well, that's what they do. Fair enough. It's good to hear your voice. How are things up? Mitchell lives in the North End, by the way. People seem to be fine, although they're not going to restaurants right now.
I am, but no, everything. Look. Sadly, the one individual is very sick, and God willing, he will have a complete and speedy recovery. But listen, it's take some simple precautions. I don't think you really need, if you're healthy, you really don't have that much to worry about.
Well, I'm going to drink a bottle of Purell before tomorrow's show. You won't want to miss it. Mitchell, thank you very much. We need to move along. Jake is going to be calling in just a moment. Jake couldn't make it in today, but he will be calling in. We'll get his sports report from him and find out what's going on. Let's look at the rest of the lineup today. We're jam-packed with guests. We've got Al Tarantino coming on at 8:20. We'll get his take on the coronavirus as it affects the Queen City of the Sound. Andy Spano, we cannot wait to talk with him. And we have two items on the agenda with the former county executive, now, of course, political analyst. One, his take on the election, his take on who might be the next vice presidential candidate, because I'm going to assume it's going to be Biden. I really am. But still, we will go to the fallback position. If it happens to be Bernie, he needs a different type of vice president. And then we'll ask him, because, again, I have opinions, but my opinions are the same as yours. In fact, perhaps less qualified. My opinion that we need to calm down about these things. How does a chief executive, whether it be the county, whether it be the president of the United States or someone who runs the National Institute of Health, how do they keep people from panicking? And that can't be an easy thing. We'll talk with him about that. And then at 9 o'clock sharp.
Media has to be
Well, media, that's what I'm trying, John. I'm trying to keep people from panicking. And then we'll talk with the Mayor Noam Bramson, the mayor of New Rochelle, at 9 o'clock sharp. And then a few minutes after that, about 10, 15 minutes in, we'll talk with our friends. Rudy Borges from Choice joins us with a number of different people. And you know that organization, they're My Plains, they're here in New Rochelle, and they get the homeless off the street and get them into programs. We're just going to take a brief moment to catch our breath. You're listening to Radio Westchester. We are your radio station at the train station. Mornings with Bob Marrone is the program. We're on each and every day from 6:30 to 10. We'll be right back. All righty, we have a retort, and we always like that. Looks like we're not going to hear from Jake today, but the man who was maligned by Mitch is calling in on our other line. He is, of course, one of our favorite callers. Please welcome Tom from Pelham. Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I was very well. I was just trying to call you on the other line, but then I saw on the other device you calling in, and we're glad to hear.
I was actually calling to speak about my hockey team, but I didn't know that.
Oh,
I didn't know somebody was disparaging me.
Yeah, well, Mitchell said that you threw your wife under the bus over your inability to understand what to do with a bagel in New York, of all places. So
actually, I've got to take it back. It wasn't even my wife. It was my youngest son. For whatever reason, he didn't finish his bagel, and being such a well-trained young son and young man, he knows enough to properly cover up his leftover food, and he put it into one of those Ziplocs.
And it's been there for how long? It's like very mushy.
He's a great young man.
Well, I'm sure he is. I'm sure you're a great dad, actually.
He did it earlier yesterday, from what I understand. I didn't know who did it, and I thought it was my wife, and I mistakenly thought it was her, and communicated that to you after you guys were talking about bagels not being left over. Within 24 hours, I once again produced factual evidence.
Factual evidence. Because, such
a thing as a leftover bagel. See, because Mitchell thinks he's always right 100% of the time.
No, not Mitchell.
Yes.
All right, a question. I have to give you a test. I have to give you a test, and Mitchell would want to hear this test. Do you know what a schmear is?
A schmear? Of course, I think I do know.
Well, go ahead.
If you have if you're buttering up your bagel,
right,
and you take your butter knife and you schmear.
That's it. Like the cream cheese, you don't say you spread it, you schmear it. Okay, so you're making a good comeback as a city kid. All righty, you wanted to talk hockey. I am worried about your Islanders. Yes, I've gone around the Rubicon. Something's wrong there.
Yeah, Bob. I honestly do not feel that they've got a team leader. I know Anders Lee is the captain, but I don't think there's a team leader on that team. Though he did step up and get into a fight, to try to motivate the team, and they just sat there like mushes. I don't know.
It could be this guy Peugeot. It could be this guy Peugeot. It could be this new guy they picked up from Ottawa, Peugeot. It might be. But I do realize that their strength is also their weakness. They've got a very balanced team. If you look at the stats, they've got like 7 guys in double digits in goals. But no one really grabs the bull by the horns. It's absolutely true. And you're missing a couple of key defensemen.
I rue the day that Artemi Panarin signed with the New York Rangers, because that was precisely, I feel, what the Islanders needed. They needed that one go-to guy when the team is, going through periods after periods of not putting a puck in the net. They needed that one guy that could go down there single-handedly and whiz one by the opposing goalie and get the team moving.
Yeah, well, that's what the
So
Rangers
that's
have in
it.
artillery. Yeah, but again, they are well coached, but see, the sense I get is they'll probably make the playoffs, but they won't go far. That's the sensibility I'm getting. You need somebody like that.
Well, Bob, oddly enough, they're the opposite, I think, of the New York Yankees. The Yankees are such a powerhouse. They can go through the regular season and win enough games to make the playoffs. But when they get into the playoffs, they struggle because they don't have timely hitting, et cetera. They're just a powerhouse team. New York Islanders are the opposite. If they get into a playoff scenario, they could slow the game down. They can, make it 2-1, 3-2. And at that point, they could put a few pucks in the net and win a game. But I don't think, the regular season in the AHL it's become a scoring league once again. We went through the doldrum.
But that changes in the playoffs. But that changes in the playoffs.
Yeah, well,
Instead of 5 goals a game, it drops down to 3.5. 2-1 games.
That's my point. The Islanders. Do you agree the Islanders are a defensive team and they're
Yes.
more for the playoffs than they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
They could
So
use, but they could
if
use
they- if
one
they
more
get
tough guy.
there-
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
If they get there, I think that they could be formidable. But I don't know if they're going to get. I really don't. They're playing Ottawa tonight. I think in Ottawa, and the game for me in my mind is a 50-50. They could win or lose that game. It's not a lock.
Well, Ottawa's playing a little bit better than they have last year. By the way, Johnny Boychuk, he got 90 stitches around his eye, but his eye is fine, and he'll be back in a couple of games. You realize if he was a baseball player, he'd be out for 10 years.
I know. That,
Well,
Bob,
you do have
I mean,
to see
you
the
saw
ball
when that
hit it.
goalie, and I forget his name, who had his throat slit.
Oh, yeah, I had him on, I had
Yeah,
that
you
goalie
told me
on.
that.
Yeah, it was very interesting. He got involved in drugs after that and depression, but he dug himself out of it. He wrote a very interesting book about it. Very interesting guy.
Yeah. So that was a horrible scene that on the ice when that happened. That was a horrible scene. But when Boychuk took that puck, that skate up
Yeah.
into the face area, and at first the report that I got was that actually his eye was lacerated.
Oh my God, yeah. Do you know who got cut that way, but not near his eye? Thank God. Remember the great Leafs defenseman Borja Salming? He got cut from his cheekbone to his jaw, and he must have required like 300 stitches to close it. He was back in a couple of days. Hockey players are ridiculous. You ever see when they just pick their teeth up off the ice and play the next shift? It's unbelievable. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well, they call that going off for repairs, right?
Yeah.
Go off for repairs. You get 30 stitches in your face and you're back on the ice.
Well,
you
it's.
remember what number?
Yes, go ahead.
You remember what number Borja Salming wore?
No.
21.
Oh yes, the Stan Mikita number. And you do remember Stan Mikita, don't you? Great hockey player.
Sure. Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, he was just an elegant center. He just beautiful hockey player, and he died recently.
I really love the game. I really love the game of hockey. I wish I was, back watching hockey back in the '60s, more actively than I only was watching it casually, walking past the TV while other people were looking at it. But I wish I was more into it back then.
Well, it was a hell of an era. They were great players. With only the thing that you realize, with only 6 teams, everybody could do everything. Everybody was like, not to that level, but the guy that does everything, even though a lot of people don't like him, is Sidney Crosby. He can skate, shoot, play defense. He's got a great physique. He's strong. Every play was like that, and there were only just like a handful of role players. It was just, you were totally complete. And the minors were so good that they were able to expand 6 teams at one time. It's amazing. All right, listen, I got to take another call. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Bob, take care.
Always a pleasure. Tom from Pelham. And on the other line, Al Tarantino. He is your city councilman from District 2. I'm sure he's been getting many updates about what's going on in our fair city. Please welcome Al Tarantino. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Very well. How are you? We're going to have the mayor on at 9 o'clock. What are you hearing? What's the latest? And how has the city council been informed about our problems with the coronavirus, sir?
Well, again, I know basically what you probably know, that there are, a few families in New Rochelle that have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and now they've found it in Mount Vernon and I believe something in Hastings.
Yes, Hastings on Hudson. They've closed the school.
Hastings on Hudson. So it's concerning, but so far they haven't decided to close any schools, and we're not hearing any more outbreaks anywhere in the city at this particular point. The mayor probably have more information.
Has it affected your business at all? Mr. Tarantino also is a businessman here in New Rochelle.
Yeah, we're seeing a drop off in traffic. You could see on the streets, and not as many people around. And I went to the supermarket over the weekend, and people were flocking in buying Lysol and other disinfectants, and I think that right now Lysol is probably going for $50 a can. So you're starting to see that panicking that happens when a crisis arises.
I drank a bottle of Purell this morning.
Do you know I believe you did.
It was going. They're going. They're going for like $150 because unless you declare a state of emergency, price gouging is not illegal. It's very interesting problem.
Did you get a growth spurt?
No, you're the second guy today that threw up me. All of a sudden you're 6'11", Al. I get that. All right, fine.
6'5".
6'5".
6'5". I'm on a step stool.
One of the networks, and it was the network last night, said that they were getting complaints from the restaurants in New Rochelle that people weren't going.
No, I believe that. It's funny because I wanted to go out tonight for dinner, and at home here, and I mentioned it last night, and everybody said, "Are you crazy? We're not going out. We're going to eat home."
Well,
so people are concerned.
We in the media take free meals all the time. So if you go to my favorite restaurant, Modern, and they don't advertise with us right now, although they will be, I think, and you want to buy me a chicken parm meal, I will go. I will go out. I will not shun you.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I'll keep that in mind.
And I'm not holding my breath. What is your sense? Do you sense that? I don't sense that the city's really terribly frightened. I really don't. But I'm worried now about some people who may not want to take the train here.
Well, as you know, they canceled the State of the City for tonight.
Yes.
I know that there are other groups have canceled events that are coming up this weekend. I don't know exactly which ones, but I have heard from people that they were either contemplating canceling or were canceling. So, as I said, until we get, I think the biggest problem people have is the lack of information, because I think it's, very difficult to give information on something they don't even know. I mean, until, you start to see outbreaks in other areas, like I've been getting calls about, why aren't we closing the schools? And, I don't know why, but I'm sure the answer is that we haven't, so far, they haven't on the county level verified cases that would connect to the schools. So until they do, they won't close the schools. So,
Go ahead, sir.
So these are the kinds of things that are happening, and I believe, and it seems for me, it's very frustrating.
Well, when you say it's frustrating, do you think they should close the schools?
No, I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert in that field, but I know in Mount Vernon they waited until they had a confirmed cases in town, and they must have been from that confirmation individuals that were connected in some way to the schools, and if they were connected, that was the right way to go. So far, from what I'm hearing, the individuals that were in New Rochelle were not connected to school. My question is that they quarantined many of the congregants of Young Israel, and if it turns out that some of the people there end up getting it, were any of their children in the schools, and then that becomes a concern.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet. There's steps that you have to take before you make these decisions.
One of the discussions we've had, and we've had it with callers and others this morning. In fact, I've defended the president in this context, although sometimes he says silly things. You almost got to throw that out. It has to be difficult as a chief executive, be you president, governor, George Latimer, county executive, mayor in Ohm, Brampton, deciding when to say, hey, this is really dangerous without panicking people. It is a very, very tight rope. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I'm seeing now is that as this thing is progressing, I see the politics starting to disappear
that's good.
from the conversation, and that was important because at the beginning, as you saw on the national level, everybody was pointing fingers, and you don't solve the problem by pointing fingers. You solve the problem by working together to resolve the problem.
We're talking with Al Tarantino. He is the District 2 City Councilman here in New Rochelle. He is actually, folks, he's a Republican, and they're going to take a mold of him and put him in the Museum of Natural History as one of those rare beings.
Yeah, well,
But
I don't know if that's good I don't know how good that is for the county.
I don't have a problem. It's not good for the county, and I don't have a problem saying it. You're a very well-respected public official. You do as well as a Democrat or an independent. God, I hate giving you a compliment, but I just did.
Well, I'll have to buy you that dinner.
Yeah, maybe you will, or not give me any more short jokes for a guy who's the same height I am.
Okay,
But
I promise for the next 30 days.
Yeah, no, you won't be able to stick to it. I'm not going to ask you to do that. Besides, you are a politician.
No, it is Lent. I'll give up the short jokes for Lent. How's that?
Gee, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Al Tarantino, we had the mayor on Monday for his usual visit with us, and he's expressed some of the same concerns that you have and others have about this is going to be a time where we're going to have to bite a bullet in terms of construction, particularly if they put that bridge over North Avenue. If they do that, we're all going to be pulling our hair out, but it's just a price we have to pay for progress, I guess. Hear any more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, as you know, Webster Avenue is being dug up by the water company to put a new water main from, I believe it's from Mayflower Avenue all the way to Main Street.
I know all about that.
So on one side, you're having a water main line running the length of Webster, a good portion of maybe 2 miles. And then on the other side, that's a connector to downtown. You're having a bridge, removed. So it's going to be tough. There's no question, but, we have to come up with a plan to, either help move the traffic through, have more police officers out there directing traffic, whatever we have to do to alleviate some of the pain. Because I'll tell you already with what's being done, every day I hear from someone, and not one person, but numerous people complaining about the difficulty of moving around downtown. And what happens is you start to get the reputation for that, and then nobody will come.
Well, that people have to be reminded that it's short term. I mean, I have to admit, even one time I called the councilman because I could not get to a car dealership on
the problem, though, you run into, Bob, is that how long can many of these businesses survive?
Well, that's the issue
in that environment, and that's the big issue. Is how do we protect them? There has to be a I did ask the city manager to give us an update of coordination between the water company, Con Ed, the bridge, Webster Avenue, and where they're going to be at what time, so that businesses could sort of plan. You have a business that buys inventory. Maybe they won't buy as much inventory, during a certain time of the year because your streets are going to be ripped up and you're going to see a decline in business. But we need some sort of guidance, and I'm pushing for it, and I'm going to continue to push for it. The merchants that have survived in downtown don't deserve to be just cast aside for the future.
I just want to go back to something here. Now, this is anecdotal, people. Don't get panicky. I have seen less people driving through the parking lot today than I usually do. In fact, I was just looking at the parking lot, and it looks like it's 10 o'clock, but it's 8:30. So I don't know if less people are getting on the train or not. I know one of the people that comes to the radio station each day to do stuff did not want to get on the train today. So that's going to be interesting if that happens.
Well, again, I have a daughter who takes the train into the city every day, and I got to ask her tonight if there is a decline in the amount of traffic on.
Well, I'm going to go out on the platform
I'll give you
later.
an update.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on the platform later with my mic and see what I can find out and see how people are doing.
Good idea.
I'm not going to touch anything though. Before you go, anything you want to shout out about, Mr. Tarantino?
Yeah, just the concern about what's going on, and New Rochelle being sort of the epicenter of this problem in Westchester, although now it's expanding outward. I just, people have to be cautious. Wash your hands. Be careful being around people that are coughing or sick. And just take a little extra caution, and I think everybody will be fine.
Yeah, I got to spray I got to spray the mics with Lysol for guests coming in after the show.
Yeah, just keep that Lysol hidden. Somebody will take it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's more important than your wallet right now.
Do you know who's gloating? I've got some members in my family who hoard stuff. Like, they can't just buy one bottle of anything. They've got to buy, like, 6. And one of my relatives has about 8 bottles of Purell, and she's thinking of going out and selling it. See, my daughter's a microbiologist, as is our husband. So they're always, microwaving toothbrushes, and so I'm all set. I got a cottage industry now. By the way, Al, would you like some Purell?
No, I actually have a bottle, and I think I'm fine. And,
okay.
I think when I get down to a quarter of a bottle, then I'll start to panic.
See, I got to become a streaker. Yo, look, check it out. I got some Purell right on this wrist. Check it out. Al Tarantino.
You could also get Windex. You could also get Windex and put Lysol labels on.
Hey, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go on the web tonight, and I'm going to check how to make that stuff, because most of it's just good is rubbing alcohol. So I want to find out what cream they put in it, or oil, or maybe I can make it like beneficial, like I could make it like olive oil and alcohol, and
talk about that, and then all the rubbing alcohol will disappear from the shelves.
Okay, never mind. Not until it has Marrone's famous alcohol rub. Can you, Al Tarantino, City Councilman from District 2 here in New Rochelle, got all I need. I've never gotten the hiccups on the air. I dread that. But thank you so very much.
Okay, Bob.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
All righty. Coming up, we're going to be talking with Andy Spano. We do need to do a reset, though. Folks, please. A healthy balance of caution. Wash your hands. Be careful where you go and what you do. But don't so panic that it ruins your life and makes you afraid to go out and so forth. A little balance is a good thing. Alrighty, it's 8:35. We'll be hearing from Andy Spano, former county executive, now political analyst, in just a couple of minutes. We do need, as we do every 15, give another weather update. Remember, no one listens for 4 hours. So if you say, Bob, you gave the weather 3 times, well, because someone new was listening. Alrighty, and the weather's brought to you exclusively by United E-Review of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhgc.org. It is 44. It's getting up to 50, maybe even 55 today. And we will eventually be silencing that ringer. But for now, it's a necessary evil. Okay, back to the weather. Partly cloudy tonight. Temperature will be 36. Tomorrow, increasing clouds. Late day, snow or rain. Temperature getting up to 45. Saturday, lots of sunshine, breezy. A high will be 43. The overnight low will be 29. Sunday, sunshine through thin clouds. A high of 55 again. Spring is springing, even though it's not really spring yet. And the bottom of the hour is supported by Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Payne & Con and Plug-in Virtual Reality, and Dominic's Fine Cigars, licensed retailer with a big selection, including Arturo Fuente Padrones and more. Dominic's Fine Cigars, located on Boston Post Road in Larchmont. They're open 7 days. And we go to our next guest. We hope he was all excited. He gets excited over these things because he's been an elected official of much note here in Westchester County. Please welcome the former county executive, now political analyst, Andy Spano. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Did you enjoy? We were on all night, by the way. I was on till near midnight with the.
I'm glad. I'm so glad I didn't call in.
Oh yeah, thanks. But you know what?
I would have been wrong. All the predictions would have been wrong.
Oh, no. Well, tell us. Again, weren't you the guy, weren't you the scout that went out with Custer and said, over that hill, I think they're friendly Indians? Well, so how were you wrong? I mean, everybody picked Joe Biden except for Andy Spano. You won all these elections. Well, not the last one, but.
Oh, no, I know. You know, let me tell you, this was unique, I think. You're just unique. And I loved it. It was like a movie.
It was, wasn't it? It's the state's
It was
game.
like a movie. Are you kidding? He wins Massachusetts. He puts no money, no staff.
Yep.
I mean, and the Massachusetts and Warren comes in third. Give me a break.
Well, Trump did a lot of winning without money in certain areas too, although Hillary didn't. It's interesting. Now, do we know yet? I've been looking all day. I haven't turned around to my computer, but I've been using my phone. What's happening in California? Did they stop the count yet?
No, they said could take up to 6 months for a perfect count.
What do you mean 6? The Democrats got to learn. They got to go back to school and learn how to count, for God's sakes, or get more toes.
They usually have 4,500 polling places. They had 1,000, so that was a problem.
Uh-huh.
They had a turnout that was unusual, and I say best of all. I don't want to say worst of all.
Uh-huh.
They have 20 ways to vote.
But it's I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So you can hand in a paper ballot at the last minute. You don't have to stand on the line, or you have to stand on the line, or you can mail it in, or you can write. So I mean, they got these ballots coming from all over, and some can be done, digitally, and some can't. And they're going to make sure they're all right. That's what the problem is.
Andy Spano, would my tiny brain be on the mark by saying, being this close, even if he doesn't win, is probably good for Joe Biden, because everybody assumed that Bernie had California locked up. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, but this was incredible because. See, everyone's looking at the entire. Well, certainly the endorsement by what's his name in South Carolina was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think the statement when he said he's a good man, and the way he said it was really effective.
Who said that?
Really, I just blocked it. Senior moments. Representative from South Carolina.
Right, yeah, because I was wondering. We okay, all right. So.
I just thought that was so effective. I mean, if you can, that's what people were looking for. That kind of a brand. The sincerity that came across. That turned the whole election. That whole endorsement turned the whole election.
You know what I think must have surprised some people too. Again, I wanted your reaction to this. I think the general public is starting to get very worried that Bernie might win, because after the Biden win, the stock market went up 1,000 points. And it's not to say that they want him. They either want he or Trump. They don't want Bernie.
Well, you may get nobody.
What do you mean I may get nobody? I mean, somebody's got to win.
Hey, let me tell you something. If you don't think about these things, but I do.
Which is frightening, but go ahead.
What if you have an emergency? I mean, a real one.
Yeah.
What if you have a real emergency with this
coronavirus?
Coronavirus. What do you do? What do you do about elections? How do you have elections?
Oh, I see your point. See, I don't know. That's on the second half of my agenda for you today. So we'll get to that in a minute. But let's assume that we do have an election. I'm pretty confident. Right now I'd stake my life that Biden's going to be the nominee. And so the next question becomes, who would you like to see on the ticket with him? And then let's take the alternative. If it is Bernie, he needs the exact opposite kind of candidate.
Well, let's not discuss Bernie, all right? So
you don't want to discuss Bernie, so you don't.
I don't think he's going to be the nominee.
You don't even want. Okay, you don't think he's going. Neither do I. Okay, my call for Mr. You can put it on the table. My call for him to be for his vice presidential candidate would be Ms. Klobuchar.
Well, maybe. She's got that Midwest appeal, but I don't know if that's what he needs. It has to be a woman.
I agree, and some people think it should be an African American woman.
African American woman. Then you're talking about maybe Kamala Harris, or you're talking about what's her name from Georgia. ran for governor.
Yeah, no, I know she is.
Yeah.
I just want to
but you know he's got it's just got to be a woman.
Okay.
The women. If Biden is the candidate, suburban women and African Americans have been significant in getting him nominated.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. Plus, I think that's what the country wants. It looks at you put someone like Biden in, and you get someone that represents significant groups in the United States on both sides of the color scheme. I didn't put it that way, but it used to be you went geographic, but I don't think you have to go geographic anymore.
Well, probably not. I think you do need to target demographics and ethnicities. One of the things that I heard, and I want to share this with you first, and I heard this from some young people that were here. Well, the way we organized our night, we had a local political operative, Democratic operative, worked for many candidates here in Westchester, came in and he helped anchor the show. And he invited almost we had about 7 states call in, and almost every state, it was the person in charge of the Young Democrats. And I must say, it was refreshing and it was encouraging. In fact, the guy who came in here, who was supposed to be Bernie or nobody, turned out to be a brilliantly reconciling young man. And I couldn't believe the talent. I mean, some of them were, of course, we got to have free tuition. We don't want to pay our tuition bills. We want free health care, chicken in every pot. To my answer always is, I want to run away with Kate Upton. I mean, you can't have everything you want. But by and large, no, if I'll vote for you, Andy, run for president, and you're done. But they were reasonable, and they were smart, and they were grounded. And yes, most of them were left to center. But when I kept driving with them as the results came in, but do you realize you have to compromise if you want to win? And I'd say 6 out of the 8 combined realized that. And it was really refreshing. But having said that, one of them came up with this idea, as we were talking about Donald Trump, that he may well go drop pence from the ticket and pick up Nikki Haley. Do you buy that?
Well, that's been a rumor that's been around now for 6 months. So, and Haley, of course, obviously is prepping herself for something like that by statements she makes, and the love she professes for the president. So that's a distinct possibility. And he's quite capable of that, because loyalty to him, except to him, means nothing.
Oh, yeah, he'll just lower them down the boat. You won't throw them under the bus. He'll just lower them nice in, put a little baseball hat on them, and push their head underwater.
Look at what he's doing to Mr. Magoo.
Oh.
Jeff Sessions,
That's a shame what he's doing to poor Jeff Sessions. It really is. Boy,
and the guy could be elected. I mean, he's like
We're wicked today. Andy Spano's our guest, former county executive, now political analyst. Andy, I got a question for you, and we'll come back to politics in a moment. But I've actually defended an aspect of Trump's behavior regarding the virus. Now, not some of the stuff he says, well, I don't agree with this, and we should do what I say. He's got that need to control. However,
he blamed it on Obama today. I want you to know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Don't you know that? Oh, my favorite. I talked about it early this morning. Now that you went there, and both sides do this. But the funniest thing was when Obama was president, his detractors said he was incompetent, he was disorganized, he couldn't get anything done, he was an apologist, he was the worst president in history. But then after he was out of office, all of a sudden he's a mad scientist who can control the planet in an evil way. How can you be? How can that be? You can't be both people. Well, I used to get a lot of my far right callers upset, because I used to say, if one more person calls me and said that Obama's the result of 2 chinchillas from Mexico, I'm going to scream. God. All right, let me get to where I was going. But where I have a soft spot for the president on this one, for your one of your successors, George Latimer, now Mayor Noam Bramson, the governor. How do you balance? Now, you've been a chief executive here in Westchester. How do you balance making sure you keep people safe without sending them into a panic? That's a slippery slope. That's a difficult task.
Yeah, it is. But you've got to tell the truth though.
Well, yeah, but this president
you can't say. I mean, you want to keep them safe. It's one thing to hold certain things back, that might spread panic.
Right.
It's another thing to make things up.
Why?
That's the difference. It's very hard because you want to keep them safe. When I had the West Nile thing, and I had a spray. Oh my God! I mean, and that was nothing compared to this.
No.
And this is the fact that we haven't had these test kits for so long and they're not out there. We have no idea what this is. No idea the scope of this thing. 1 gets you 2 gets you 4 gets you 8 gets you 16, and so on.
Well, you know what? Hey, listen, based on what you just did, they should have you do the count out in California. You're pretty good, Andy Spano, at this math stuff. I'm sorry.
But I think I said this last week.
Yeah.
That one of the things that makes me feel at least some sense of safety in people handling it is that we have an entire nation handling this.
Yes.
Mayors, governors, hospitals, etc. We just mobilize, and we mobilize by ourselves. We don't just sit there and say, "Well, I'm waiting for the governor." Businesses just mobilize.
Hey.
My grandson was visiting me, and down in Florida, and he was at a conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he comes up, he visits me, and then he goes home. He gets home, his boss calls him and says, "Don't come into work for 14 days."
Oh, is he going to pay him?
He said, yeah, he's going to pay him. He said, work for the house. He says, you were at that conference, and there were a lot of people from foreign countries. We don't want you in the office. Now, the governor didn't tell him to do that. Do you know what I mean? So, people in the United States or organizations they act on their own.
Yes.
And that's good. It's not, they don't wait like they do in China and wait for someone to say, "I want you to do this." So this is something we really have never handled in this way.
Not like this. But do you think now, Governor Cuomo, whom you know well and work for right now, at least in your election commission work, he actually thought it was a good idea to have Pence be the point man because I guess it's because he was a governor, but he was very conciliatory on that point. What was your reaction to that, Andy Spano?
Well, this is not a time to get political. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, when you got people. He's pretty steady, Pence, mm-hmm. and he has been a governor. And all of us administrators have a lot more respect when you have to manage something for people who have been in those kinds of positions.
Yeah, I bet.
You get legislators in there, and they have no idea what to do.
I will always remember one of the first crises.
And by the way, you know who told me that?
Who?
Recently, George Latimer.
Well, yeah, I got to know a lot of political figures. Remember in 2007, all the flooding we had? And yeah. I saw Republicans, oh my God, she escapes it, from Mamaroneck. What a wonderful woman she is. Oh, God. She's the former supervisor of Mamaroneck, Valerie Moore O'Keefe.
Yes.
The mayor of Rye, then Democrat. I watched Republicans and Democrats locally work on that flood like they were on the same team. It was a thing to behold. It really was.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, let me clarify what I said about George. George was saying that he had been a legislator all his life.
Yes.
And that the difference between what he does now and what he did then is day and night.
Yes.
And he wished more legislators on it. Not that he didn't know what he was doing. I just want to make that clear.
Well, he came from corporate. So he came from corporate where he was an executive.
Yes, he did.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But Valerie O'Keefe, I worked with her for all the years she was in office, right?
Yep.
I could tell you, unless I checked the books, I wouldn't have known she was a Republican.
That's absolutely true. And again, I've done radio with her, and she has her political opinions. But what an incredible public servant she was. By the way, apropos of George, this does need to be said. Now, yes, 2 days ago, while I was preparing for this all-night show, I was, watching TV. I saw George Latimer on TV with the governor, worried about the crisis, running around, and I had previously invited him to call in. Now, I sent him, during my show. So I sent him a text, look, I know you're busy, so don't even worry about it. Sure enough, 5 minutes to 11, who calls me 5 minutes to 11 at night to get on the show? I don't think the man sleeps. I'm convinced he doesn't sleep. He's some sort of a creature who does not require sleep. I don't get it. And as you know...
No, and he has a tickler, whether it's in his head, in a book or something. I don't know where it is, but... You're probably number 28,260.
Oh, I know.
When he gets to that, he calls you.
Oh, no, and he did. He did. And one day I remember I was, and he's a 30-minute hit like you are, or it's actually like 22 minutes. And so one day I thought he really had to go. I sensed it, so I said, but he's got it all marked in the calendar. And I said, look, I know you want to go. And he said, no, I don't. I said I'd be on till 8:35, and I'll be, so fine, don't you? Did I ever tell you?
No, like his philosophy is hands-on, meet and greet. That's his philosophy, and it works for him. It's worked for him. He's never lost an election.
No, he's 18-0. He got angry at me a couple of times, though. I remember when he was running. He was running against Cohen, and it got very ugly. And Cohen ran an ad of George tripping out a doorway to get out of a vote. So when George came on the next day, I said, hey, I gave you an 8 on that one yesterday. But then he realized I was trying to do when next time he came on, I said, I heard you were on the grassy knoll. I'm convinced. I don't know how you all do it. You got to really he seems to really love this job, though. He does.
He's very good at it. He's got some very good people around him. He's articulate in a way that a politician has to be. He doesn't. It's not just BS. He's able to take a complicated issue, which is really
he's the best at that,
and explain it. To the public, which I think is terrific. That's such a great skill.
But I think
he's a good thinker, not afraid to make decisions. So that's all you have to be. Get good people around you, be able to make decisions with good thinking, and be able to explain to the public exactly what's happening so they understand it.
Okay, let's go back to square one before I send you on your way, because we have a few minutes. Let's get back to the election, and I remind people my guest is Andy Spano, the former county executive, now political analyst. How do you see the next 6 months shaping up with Biden and the president? How do you see this shaping up?
I see Bernie going all the way to the convention. He doesn't drop out.
Right.
I see Warren probably backing Bernie at some point. So you're gonna draw the two camps. I don't see him having enough delegates when he gets to the convention. I think Biden takes the convention if everyone if the coalition sticks with him. I think if it's close or it has some, I think Bernie's going to try to get something out of this, and I don't know what that is. I don't mean personally. I mean in terms of the issues and so on. And I don't know what's going to happen if we when you have a convention, two things happen there. One thing is you select the candidates. The other thing is you select the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And you usually don't see the platform because the platform, no one covers that. You know what I mean? They have all these issues and everything and so forth and so on. In 1972, when we had a similar kind of bifurcation of philosophies,
mm-hmm.
that didn't happen. What happened was they fought every platform thing publicly.
Yes.
And it went on into the night. and then they would pick the candidate. So
remember.
much so that I think George McGovern gave a speech something like 2 a.m.
I remember.
And you might get that again here, because these issues are so important to everybody. So you might see that at the convention.
Well,
which
I'm looking
most
forward.
people alive haven't seen it.
As you would say, Andy Spano, I'm looking forward to following the chronologically of it, the chronology of it. Listen, it is always a pleasure. And folks, don't worry about Andy Spano's picks, because he's the guy that said this: the Titanic would make it straight across, no problems. Thank you so very much, Andy Spano. You have a great day.
Take care.
Always
Bye.
a pleasure, sir. All righty, let's take a look at where we're heading. Our friends from Choice are here, and we will get to them in a few minutes, but we do have calling in on the Newsmaker line the mayor of New Rochelle, Noam Bramson. We're going to talk with him for a few minutes and see what the latest is covering the coronavirus crisis that we have here in New Rochelle. As you know, there are 10 people with the virus right here in New Rochelle, and we're going to get straight to the mayor, and then we're going to talk with our friends from Choice. It is 8:58. This is Radio Westchester. We go straight now to the Newsmaker line where Mayor Noam Bramson is standing by. Good morning, Mayor. Hello? Did I hit the button right? Oh, I guess I didn't. Well, that happens. Let's go back to music. Turn off the phones. He'll call back. That's what they do. All righty, let's take... Ah, he's playing chicken with me. Let me lock it in. As I said, please welcome on our Newsmaker line Mayor Noam Bramson. Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Doing okay, Bob, under the circumstances, but this has obviously been a challenging couple of days for our community, and I'm sure we've got additional challenging days ahead.
We do. I'd like you to give us the overview. Now, Mayor, we just summed up for everybody. We know that there are 10 people ill. We know that the lawyer is in intensive care down in the city, in the hospital, but he's doing okay. The family's being quarantined. The people who were at the last service he was at the, I guess it's Young Israel Synagogue, 1,000 people have been asked not to go to work, all of that kind of thing, or to leave the house for a while. What can you tell us about the steps the city and the county are taking and so forth?
Well, I think you actually just covered the essentials. The most impactful element of this whole plan is the self-quarantine that's required of hundreds of residents of our community, and we can all imagine how disruptive that is to lives, aside from, obviously, the concern that many will have about their own health and the health of their families and the health of a particular neighbor, the index patient who's still in the midst of a health crisis. At the same time, I have to say I've been enormously impressed by the calm and the maturity with which our community has confronted this challenge, particularly the members of Young Israel of New Rochelle, on whom the heaviest burden has fallen. I think people are striking the right balance between the sort of concern and focus that a circumstance like this requires, but without straying over into unjustified panic, which is really just self-defeating. And all of us need to continue following the guidance of public health professionals with respect to the things we can do every day, whether washing our hands or covering ourselves when we cough in the proper fashion. All of the common sense things that can protect us from the spread of disease. And also we need to keep in mind that the vast majority of people who contract coronavirus will not experience illness at all. Among those who do become sick, only a small fraction will face life-threatening circumstances, principally people whose immune systems or respiratory systems are already compromised in some fashion. So some perspective is, I think, required for all of us to kind of process this experience. And the last thing I'll say is, although we don't know for sure, I think it does stand to reason that there will be additional cases of coronavirus. The number of people who have been potentially exposed in New Rochelle and the surrounding area is large enough that it would be very surprising if others did not contract the illness. We have to be sort of ready for that likelihood, take it in stride, recognize that the measures that are already in place are intended to limit the spread of the virus, but that additional directives may be necessary depending on how conditions unfold.
Mayor, one of the things we were talking about it with Andy Spano just a little while ago that I think everybody appreciates, and I'll ask you what it's like to strike that balance, to be able to get the word out so that people do what they need to do, such as you've just described, but also not panic a population. And I think that that's been achieved, but it cannot be easy. You know, there's this tendency for everybody to run out to the stores or stay away from the trains. You must have to think it through before you have a press conference or even come on the air such as you are now.
Well, of course, and I think all of us do that, whatever our roles, whether we're public officials or radio hosts or anyone who just simply speaks with neighbors and friends. How do we get through this together? But I'll say again, I have been impressed and gratified by how our community has come together. And I don't think there's been any level of hysteria.
Nope.
People have been listening closely to what experts have been saying and have been adjusting their behavior accordingly, and that's the right way to proceed. And I also think there are things we can do to sort of demonstrate confidence. I mean, the county executive and I will be having lunch together today at Eden Wok, which is a kosher restaurant on
wonderful.
North Avenue in the Waikiki section of New Rochelle.
I know it well.
That's, of course, a business that has been impacted by this because, a fair amount of their customer base is actually quarantined right now. But there's also, I think, a certain level of generalized concern, which may be keeping people out of the neighborhood and saying, well, maybe I'll stay home and not shop at this business or that business. Maybe I'll not visit this friend or that friend. And, of course, it's up to every single person to determine for themselves how risk-averse they want to be. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's important that we demonstrate confidence, that we avoid unreasonable risks, of course, but that we also go about our lives and not unfairly and unreasonably harm ourselves by withdrawing from each other, by failing to support businesses that are important to our community. So the county executive and I will be out there to just try to set a personal example of support for a community that is struggling right now.
Good for both of you. I feel the same way. In fact, I made a proclamation earlier that I've got stuff to do tonight. I may not be back in time, but today or tomorrow, I'm going to go out to one of our restaurants and eat there. Just to the degree to show some support. Mayor, one of the things that has come up. There's an opportunity in it, and I know you wouldn't focus on it, but I can. Many of the TV stations and even the national outlets have talked about the city, about the development, about its diversity, and how well it's handling this. That has to be on some level, even if it's certainly not a priority, but it has to be a little bit gratifying. I mean, this city is in the national news right now.
Boy, I don't know quite how to react to that. I don't think we would choose to be in the national news
no,
for this
I
purpose.
know. I know, but what I'm saying to you is, and I can say this: the city seems to have acquitted itself well in the eyes of the press.
I hope that's the case. I hope we will continue to acquit ourselves well. We would rather be in the spotlight for things that give us pleasure, of course. But everyone in New Rochelle is acquitting themselves in a way that does our community credit, and that is gratifying.
Now, before you go, any final words for people listening in who are concerned?
I would simply say to continue keeping abreast of the news, to listen to the information that comes from the public health authorities. This is a situation that does change by the hour and by the day, but be assured that we are not alone. The whole world is bent on limiting and then conquering this illness. And I have no doubt that New Rochelle will emerge from this experience a strong, healthy, resilient community.
And Mayor, I would just add that if you think of it, chicken and black bean is my favorite dish at that restaurant. Thank you so very much. Mayor Noam Bramson, I really appreciate you coming on short notice.
Thank you, Bob.
Sir. All right,
take care.
Mayor Noam Bramson, folks, from New Rochelle. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with one of my favorite group of people, the people from Choice. These are the people that spend their time getting homeless people off the streets, getting them treatment, getting them into the programs, looking for places to live. They even get them clothes if they go on an interview. They have a food pantry. We've got two wonderful people representing them we're going to talk to in just a moment. First, a quick break. Okay. I see. There it is. I messed up my own headphones. Welcome back, everybody. It is 9:08. We're only 3 minutes late. That's not bad when you have a jam-packed show as we do today. You're listening to Radio Westchester Mornings with Bob Marrone. I am he as we enter our long-form segment. We do the weather one more time, which we will do now. And then you won't have to hear about that again. We'll take another break in the middle before we get to our next guests. But I also remind you that the long-form interview is brought to you by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, the top-rated campus of senior care. Visit uhdc.org, Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Payne and Kahn, Dominic's Fine Cigars, and plug-in virtualreality.com. And the weather, I hate this machine. The weather is brought to you exclusively by United Hebrew of New Rochelle, voted one of America's best rehabilitation and senior care campuses, and it's right here in New Rochelle. Visit uhdc.org. The temperature's up to 44. It's going to get up to 50, maybe 54 or 5 today. It's sunny. It's going to stay that way. Partly cloudy tonight, getting down to 36. Tomorrow, what an odd day. Increasing clouds with late day snow or rain. The temperature will be 45. Saturday, lots of sunshine, breezy, a high 43, getting down to 29 at night. Keep your kimonos. But Sunday, get this, sunshine through high thin clouds, getting up to near 50 again today. Oh, again, Sunday, I should say. So look forward to that. And my next guests, they come with each and every Thursday. They're with us. In fact, one of the guys who's been organizing some of this is Rudy Borges. Rudy's the Jobs Program Administrator and Director of Health and Wellness at Choice. And I've got to get this name right, and she's going to yell at me, but Thalia Hinojosa. How close am I? Please, as you know, Choice, these are the people that are getting the homeless off the streets, working tirelessly. They have offices here in New Rochelle, White Plains, now in Peekskill. I'm going to put on both their mics. Now, you get to start this out by pronouncing your name for me.
Thalia Hinojosa.
I can do this. Say it again and get a little closer to the mic.
Thalia Hinojosa.
Thalia Hinojosa.
Yes.
Not bad.
I'm
Not
good.
bad.
Thalia sounds like a thallium stress test. But no, anyway, I know that you are, and why did I put my notes down? You are one of the supervisors in client care.
Correct.
Now, is it true you were in the military as well?
Yes, I'm still in the military
What
now.
do you do?
I'm a cannon crew member.
Cannon crew?
Yes.
Watch out.
So.
I didn't do it.
Watch
So,
out.
what's your rank?
I'm an E4. I'm a specialist.
How long have you been in the military?
I've been in there for 2 years now. And I have, my contract is for 6 years, so I have 4 more years to go.
Now, what kind of cannon? My brother was a gunnery guy in the Vietnam War. What kind of cannon? What kinds of guns do you work on?
We work on M119ers.
What is that? Try and realize you're dealing with an idiot.
It's a really big gun. It's
It's a
bigger
really-
than me.
How do I
It's
deal
a
with
gun
this?
that takes about 10 people to work on.
Okay, what
and
part
to
do you
shoot.
do? Are you the person that figures out the coordinates, or?
Well, no, that's a different job. But we do different jobs. So
Which one do you like the most?
to shoot.
Oh, I figured that.
Told you.
I told you I'll
be
be
careful.
nice to you. I will behave. I won't do anything untoward. Now, fortunately, we're streaming, so people can see you.
Okay.
In case you thought this woman who is in effect a gunnery officer, a gunnery person, in case you think that she came in looking like a fullback, think again. And I can't describe it. These days of the Me Too movement, you are just
Would that take 5 minutes?
no, you are just a carbon-based life form. Okay, nothing more, nothing. Just another carbon-based life form. But my point is that good for you.
Thank you.
A woman who's a gunnery person who's doing that kind of stuff, and I didn't want to point out your sex. One day we won't have to, but it just shows what people are doing and how the military allows you to pursue the career you want. Did you choose that field?
I did.
Are you angry at somebody that you wanted to? I want to shoot a gun at you.
No, I'm just a hands-on person, so it's
Hands on the
it's-
trigger
it's a-
person.
It's a hands-on job. It's
Okay.
yeah. it's
Now
just a
we're
lot of
going to
work.
talk to you. So where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
I'm from the Bronx.
I knew she was a city girl. I'm happy now. No, a city carbon-based life form. Go ahead.
I'm from the Bronx. I was born in Brooklyn.
Whereabouts?
I have no idea where.
Oh, because
where-
I'm from Brooklyn. That's why.
I don't know what I don't know what area.
Oh, so you came to the Bronx
I'm
as a
not-
young girl.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
really from Brooklyn. I wouldn't say I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay, you wouldn't
But I
say
was
from-
born there.
Another Bronx person doesn't want to admit her Brooklyn roots. It's okay. It's okay. You're up here in Westchester now. When did you decide to join the military? Are you going to school in the military? Did you go before you signed up? What's your background?
Before I joined the military, I had a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I minored in psychology.
So you're looking right through me now. Criminal justice, she has a gun, and she's a psychologist. So she knows I'm no good and will kill me if I miss. Okay, go ahead.
And the military is going to assist me with paying for my
Excellent.
tuition to get my master's. So right now I'm looking into getting my master's.
In what field?
I'm debating between criminal justice and psychology right now. I'm gearing more towards criminal justice and probably going to John Jay.
Well, good for you. And, you know, these kinds of things are uplifting because, and you know why they're uplifting. You're doing all this, but it's the current job that you have. Now, how, as someone who's still in the military, who still owes them 4 years, by the way, have you been deployed at all yet?
No.
Okay. Who still owes them 4 years, how did you get involved with Choice?
I actually, when I went away for basic training, when I returned from basic training, I was looking for employment, and I was unemployed for about 3 months or so. And I had started my own business.
You started your own business as well?
Yes.
What was that? What did you do there?
I have a window cleaning company. It's called NYC Better Windows
No kidding.
for commercial sites. So I was working.
That can be a
on
pain,
that.
you know. I'm sorry.
You got a lot of windows
Bad
here.
puns. No, I got a lot of windows. No, selling are you now? Okay, I do have all these. Well, that's the whole point. It's supposed to be like Good Morning America of radio. But go ahead.
Right.
Thanks, Rudy.
You're welcome.
We'll get to Rudy in a minute, but we have to talk to the star first. So
Yes.
go ahead. So you come back from basic.
So I was focusing on my business, but I also wanted to work full time. So as I was applying for employments, I found Choice.
Okay. You found Choice and you already became a supervisor. Now, I know a little bit about your background. You wouldn't be here if you weren't good at it. You wouldn't be here with us today.
Thank you.
What enabled you to embrace it and become so good at it so quickly in 9 months?
I saw a lot of potential and a lot of growth when I joined Choice. As I told Rudy earlier, when you first become an employee with Choice, you're on probation for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in probation, during my first month, there was a supervisor position available, and I wanted it, and I wanted to take it. But I didn't apply for it because I knew I wasn't going to get it. I knew the company needed to earn my trust. They needed to know.
You needed to earn their trust, right?
Right, and I still wanted to learn about the company because I was still training. So I saw a lot of different opportunities within the agency. So I decided to just wait, and I figured that my time would come. So then within 6 months in, I was interviewed for the supervisor position, and I began during my 9th month.
Okay. How long have you been at it now?
Now I've been with the agency for 1.5 years.
Okay. So you've been supervising care coordinators over that time.
Yes.
What's it like?
It's great.
What's great about it?
Just working with the clients. I do work with the clients directly as well. Being able to assist the clients, knowing that you're a big part of their life. When they have a serious situation, you're the ones that they think of, and they call you, and it just means a lot to know that you're that person that they can depend on, no matter what situation they're going through.
I'm going to ask your boss about what's expected in this job in a moment, or one of your bosses. But one of the things, when you interview people for a living, you look at the common threads, the military, what you're doing. The only thing that doesn't fit all your public service is window washing, but you got to earn a living too. But criminal justice, the military, what is it about you? What is it about your background that drove you to public service? Do you know?
Well, I have personal experiences of my own within my family, just watching others as well. I live my life learning through others' mistakes and experiences, and just, again, my personal experiences.
No, you want to study my life. You become a saint, personal experiences and mistakes. Yeah. It is 9:19, and it is a pleasure to meet. Give me your name again so I pronounce it right.
Talia Hinojosa.
Talia Hinojosa, a very interesting supervisor and care coordinator. I want to talk to Rudy a little bit. I've known Rudy for a couple of years, and he's got 2 titles, so I have to read right. Jobs Program Administrator, Director of Health and Wellness Training and stuff. Rudy, it's good to see you again.
My
He's
friend,
been with us before. What do you?
Yeah, I like the
where
digs.
Where do you get people like?
I'm telling you.
Where do they make? Do they have like a factory? Because it's like the 3rd person I've met who I just wanted to put my arms around and say thank you for what you do.
Well, there's so many of us in this organization. You know that, Bob, and I appreciate that you're giving us a platform so we can get some of these stories out on what we do in the community. People like, Thalia and some of the guests that were on a couple of weeks ago, you're just scratching the surface.
I sense that.
Yeah. And so, again, I appreciate you allowing us to come on.
Well, full disclosures, I'm on the board, but I joined the board because of what you do and how much I believe in what you do. But what I've learned while I'm on the board just never ceases to amaze me. In fact, I'm trying to find out, and if you've listened to the other interviews, what makes these people tick? Or like, what makes you tick? How did you get involved in this line of work? And what do you expect of the supervisors?
Listen, I've been in human services now over 20 years. Wanting to help someone less fortunate has always been the common denominator. I don't know if I told you way back, I was NYPD back in the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's
so
get
now
out
you
of
have
here, Colin.
you have a
He's
gunnery
gonna arrest
person,
us.
and then you have a cop from the Bronx.
Whoa! You're a cop in the Bronx
No, me.
too?
I used to be.
Jeez.
But when I got into this industry, I was working.
Okay, go ahead. There's a
You got competition, Thalia. There's a window cleaner.
Hey, what they're doing is they're putting Lysol on the front door. Thank you very much, sir.
That's a good idea. Hey, if I had known you were doing video, I would have done my makeup and hair.
No, you don't. What hair? Sorry. Why'd I do that?
I laid that one up for you.
Thank you very much.
What was it we talked about? I have a face for radio.
Yeah, I'm going to drink a bottle of Purell tonight.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so you were a police officer
before. I was back in the 90s, but when I got into human services.
How long were you an officer?
About 5 years.
Any particular reason you didn't stay it, or you preferred to do something different?
No, I got in trouble a lot. But
okay, we'll get into
we'll
that.
move on.
Although no, but there's a thread. I've talked to some other people who you brought in here that have made some mistakes, and the mistakes have led them to lead some wonderful careers. So, all right. So what made you find this?
So I started working with a community organization in the Bronx, and just started helping people in the community get jobs or get training and things like that. I mean, I remember a stupid story. I was young and stupid, and I had this big event, and it's outdoors, and everyone's seated on folded chairs, and I put a $5 bill under one of them. And I thought I'd start with a joke. And I said, everybody get up and look under your seats. And, they pulled out the $5. And I said, the moral of the story is you got to get off your ass to make a buck. And it went over like a lead balloon.
Why'd it go over like a lead balloon?
Because they thought I was being, I mean, you know me 5 years now. I can be sarcastic. Not as funny as you, but.
But it's not sarcastic.
No, but after they got to know me a little bit, we did a lot of great things in the community. I created a job resource center with training and Microsoft Office products and typing and resume creation and interviewing and everything else. And we had a lot of success. So that was kind of the beginning of my journey in human services. And then, finding choice, which was such a weird interview with Guy.
Oh, with Guy. Now, when did you find them? See, I go back with Guy. I was on WVOX doing mornings there. And again, because of my own background and interest in helping people with mental illness, I was drawn to, I think he was a guest on somebody else's show, or I'd heard about him, and I invited him on my show. And then when I realized what they were doing, I invited them to start a show of their own, and that's how I got involved with Choice. So yes, interviewing with, was it when they were very small?
Yeah,
they had 30 patients. It was 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, we were, the main office was 420 North.
Okay.
And then he was up in White Plains. But I met with the HR person at that time and a couple of supervisors and a couple of coordinators, and it was like a 6-panel interview. And after the interview...
Thalia, the standards were very low then.
Yeah. After the interview, they asked me to go meet with Guy. And when I went up there, Guy,
Guy
feet are kicked up on the desk, T-shirt, and, we're just talking about life. And he asked me,
made you open up?
Yeah, you know that. He's that type of interviewer. But seeing his vision and then seeing where some of my skills would kind of fit in and create, I said, you know what, this is the right place to be. And I haven't regretted a minute.
Now, that's Rudy Borges, by the way. Now, Rudy, what do you look for when you and your level of management select a supervisor for client care? Because folks, in this business that we're talking about, in the kind of help that they do, the rubber meets the road with the client care specialists, the people that go out and intervene. So you're managing these people, these care coordinators, I guess as they're called. What are you looking for?
When I was helping out HR a few years ago, one of the things I looked for anyone who's going to be managing is some leadership skills. And Thalia, I remember meeting her when she first came in, and we talked about it when she was running for that position. And, I would always give her some encouragement and talked about, what we're really looking for in leadership. And obviously, you see she has plenty of that. But we also look for people who really get it. I mean, I can teach.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I keep peeling back these onions. I'm trying to find out what that it is.
Well, one of the questions I used to ask in the interview was, if a family member of yours came to a place like this for services, how would you want them treated? And the answer would expose what I needed. This person has the right heart. This person will do everything they can to help their client in their journey. So when you use a foundation like that, and then the other interview questions, like where do you see yourself in 5 years, that kind of stuff, it can give you some insight, but it doesn't really tell you about the heart.
Well, that's what we're going to find out now as we go back to probe a little more with Thalia. Why did you want to be a supervisor, and what is it about this job? Now, I'm going to tell exactly where I'm going. I'm going to keep peeling back the onion until I find out what is it about you that's committed. Now, a little bit of preface for the listeners. Being on your board, I know there's a lot of turnover. I know that it's a difficult job. I know that it's a thankless job in some ways because a lot of people revert. You may get them as far as a place to live and in drug treatment if that's their problem, or in psychiatric care if that's their problem, and they slip back. The demands, your people have lots and lots of cases to handle at the same time. It almost seems as if this isn't something that you really want to do, you're not going to stay at it. Is that a fair question?
It's true to say. I feel like with this particular job, it's something that you have to have a passion for. If you're not interested in helping people, you're not interested in human services, you won't last long. This job is not for everyone.
Who is it for? The people that do it best. What do?
They like to help people. They want to help people.
They really have to want to.
They have to want to help people, because if you don't want to help, then you're not going to do your job effectively and efficiently.
What are the hardest parts of the job for the people that work for you?
I would say just the mental state. The mental state of having to deal with when the clients call you with their hardships, your mental state as how you feel about their situation. Sometimes we come across situations that are uncontrollable, where we may not be able to assist in the way that we want to, but we assist the best way that we can. And sometimes it's a little hard on us mentally, just knowing that we can't do a little bit more for them.
Let me phrase this, Your Honor. How do you keep from, because I know people who love this kind of work, but they cross a line. They don't know where to set that boundary. You can become an enabler. You can have someone, and one thing I know about people of all kinds of handicaps, drugs, could be mental illness, could be even physical ailment, they can be manipulative. How do you keep your staff from being sucked in to places where they shouldn't go?
Well, I train my staff to know what to expect from their clients. When their clients ask them for things that are just out of the ordinary.
Such as?
Let's say a client wants an excessive amount of Metro cards, for example. If they want 15 Metro cards, we normally wouldn't give out as many Metro cards.
Well, they want to sell them too, maybe,
right.
for drugs. Yeah.
Some clients do want to sell, just for whatever reason, for drugs, for whatever, to have cash. So they would have to come to me, and the client would have to have a valid reason as to why they would want Metro cards. Another one is having a rent payee.
Who?
A rent payee.
Oh, rent paid?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where the client would have a person who controls their income. So if they receive income from SSI, for example.
Okay, who might that person be? Like someone in their family or someone at choice?
A professional.
A professional.
A professional.
So is this another agency that we use?
Agency,
Yes,
right.
okay.
So some clients, they ask for, if the clients, they know how much money they have available. So let's say a client has $400 available after all of their bills have been paid. The client, sometimes they will ask for that money. But the rent payee will only give it out if it's a valid reason as to what they need the money for. And normally, Choice has to call in to request for that money. And if we don't feel that the client's reason is valid enough,
they don't get it.
We won't accept it.
But you have to get your employees to buy this. I would, because I could see me getting too involved. I like people. I love people. And I could see me, if I did that job, enjoying it. But also, how do you keep from going too far? Because, again, the manipulative ability of people, and this is, people that are decent human beings, but drug addicts have learned how to do that. Of all the problems that you deal with in this vein, what's the hardest problem? Is it mental illness? Is it, because I understand there's a panoply. You've got people that are mentally ill. You've got people who are deeply depressed and given up on life, who have that kind of mental illness in terms of depression. You have other people that are involved in drugs, other people that have personality disorders, and the family, maybe at the other end of the spectrum, is the family that just doesn't have any money anymore. What's the hardest to deal with?
The hardest out of that would be, really, they're all difficult. I mean,
they're all difficult?
They're all difficult because they all have different scenarios. So they're all really pretty difficult.
I had a relative, and here's why I ask you these questions. I had a relative who shall obviously go nameless, and it goes back many years now. Very successful guy, very successful person. Probably drank a little more than he should have, but certainly most of his life was not an alcoholic. Gambled a little bit. Anyway, this very successful, his company shut down, started to drink a little more. His wife left him because he gambled more than she would have liked. And he kept staying with family members and family members and family members. He was always trying to scrape up money for whatever. He made himself a pest, but not a terrible one. And ultimately was staying in Section 8 type hotels and things like that. And one day he just died on the street. And the part of him that I keep thinking about was that he was unable to look forward because of the weight of all of the losses that he had. When I say losses, the brew was self-esteem, but he had been a captain of industry. He lost his wife. All he had was this little dog. Even if you get that type of guy or gal off the street, and again, obviously he had serious depression and maybe he was an alcoholic or whatever, we don't really know. Mm-hmm. But how do you get them to accept the lesser life as a starting point? Who does that for them? How do we do that?
Well, when a client...
Do you understand that because then when you add to that the people that are truly mentally ill that can't even help that, how do you get that person back on track? It almost seems as if they have to be able to accept hey, you're not what you are, you're who you are now. And you got to start from that. How do you do that?
I would say giving them options.
Such as?
Positive options. So if he's going through substance abuse and he's homeless and just giving him different options, what is it that he can do to get better? If he has alcohol abuse or substance abuse, there's outpatient programs, inpatient programs. You can go far away from your norms.
What do you mean by that?
Going upstate possibly for a couple of months for an outpatient program where you can get away from everyone
but it's still outpatient. Yeah, well.
No, inpatient.
Inpatient. I'm sorry. Well, that's good because that actually is a good idea.
Yes.
And hopefully they never return to the environment that created them. That's the okay. Go ahead.
I like to suggest that for those who are going through those type of situations, because then when they return back, we can help them with housing and maybe moving in a different area that's not where they're from or where they currently live.
What does a success look like? And I realize for each person that's probably a different definition. Mm-hmm. What's a success?
It's really whatever the client wants, reaching their goal, their ultimate goal.
What is the typical goal of these folks? I know they're very different, but there's always a mean. What's the typical goal?
Normally it's housing. In Westchester, we have a big situation with housing.
Oh, yeah, we know.
So a lot of our clients are homeless or they're at risk of being homeless. So that's one of our main goals for most of our clients is to find housing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you find them housing. Well, what if you find them housing and they still have substance abuse or mental illness? What else comes with that?
We would try to assist them with a program, again, an outpatient or an inpatient program. Also, they have a mental health provider. Always connect them with a mental health provider who can assist them, because normally substance abuse and alcohol abuse, that goes back to mental illness.
Of course. With
depression and things like that. So as long as they're seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist, that can also assist them with not relapsing.
Okay, let's take it out a little further. If I had cancer, they'd say in 5 years, you're free and clear, you're cured. I know with substance abuse, this term is you're never cured. You're always fighting it. But how often do you get, and I know it's not a lot, by the way, and I need to share this with listeners, how often do you get the person, you've got them off the street, which is good. You got them in a place to live, but they actually wind up working and resuscitating their whole life? Do we get that often enough to keep you in the game?
Not as often as we should.
Well, should or can. Maybe it's not possible because a lot of what you do becomes almost palliative, if that's a fair statement. Rudy, would you say that?
Yeah, I agree.
What would you say about that, Rudy? Been out a little longer.
Listen, when we're dealing with people, I always say we're not dealing with widgets, right?
Right.
We're dealing with an individual, and when we look at success, we're going to measure the success, whatever
based on
they
that
base
individual
as a success.
Like it may just be getting them off the street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's hard to map out the entire journey because there's some, there might be some setbacks. With me, I don't get to see the clients like Thalia and her staff does. I see them more, where they're a little closer to work.
Right.
And, the housing situations or the therapy situations or the doctors and all that's taken care of with the superheroes like Thalia. When they come to me, I'm just trying to find what's your next success in this journey. Mm-hmm. For some people, getting to the world of work classes every day or every other day is a form of success. They're getting out of the house. I had a client who hadn't left his house for a long time.
Was he agoraphobic or he just was depressed?
I think more depression. Okay. And then I get to know him a little bit better, and he enjoys the classes, and he sees that others are in that same journey with him, and now he's flourishing, and hopefully he'll be working soon. So it's a little difficult to kind of cookie cut everything as we go in everyone's journey because everyone's different. But what I get to see is the progression of, getting out of the house is successful, getting into world of work, becoming, learning more skill sets, applying to jobs, finding employment, keeping employment. Those things can help with some sort of stability. And then, maybe all the other things will fall in place as they go.
Well, in a moment, we're going to take a break soon. I just want to reset. And when we come back from that break, I'd like to talk about some of the things that are available. For example, I know you have a soup kitchen now. Well, a pantry, a food pantry now. You do have job training. You even have clothes to give people to go out on interviews and things like that, which I'm impressed with. But I also know in terms of what you do, sometimes you have to take that person to the hospital. Now, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, the first question I'm going to ask is, and this always breaks my heart when I'm sitting in a board meeting and I hear this. Someone presents with really agitated mental health issues, and the only alternative is an emergency room because do you have like a 6-week wait to see a psychiatrist, something like that?
Right.
It's just incredible stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are in the midst of our Choice Hour. And we do it each and every Thursday here on Radio Westchester. Choice is an organization that helps get the homeless off the street and back either into homes, treatment, and even work and life. They've got offices here in New Rochelle, White Plains, and Peekskill. My guest today, and this young woman, Thalia, give me the last name again. Hold on a minute. Inahosa. I got it. Thalia Inahosa. She's a client care supervisor. The client care coordinators work for her. Rudy Burgess, he is the Jobs Program Administrative Director of Health and Wellness. The bottom of the hour is brought to you by Plug-in Virtual Reality, Aging Issues Management, the law firm of Payne & Con, and Dominic's Fine Cigars. And as well, our major sponsor, the United Hebrew of New Rochelle, the top-rated campus of senior care. Visit uhgc.org. I'm Bob Marrone. This is the long-form segment of Mornings with Bob Marrone. We'll be right back. We have returned. Good morning once again. I'm Bob Marrone. This is Mornings with Bob Marrone, the long-form segment, our Choice Hour, each and every Thursday here on Radio Westchester, the radio station at the train station. And I've been trying to master her name, and I think I'm getting good at it. Thalia Hinojosa, thank you for being here again. And, of course, Rudy Burgess. Why does it take so long to get a psychiatrist for these people that need it? And what do you do if someone's suicidal or so off their meds they don't know where they are?
I'm honestly unsure as to why the wait is so long. But if a client is ever suicidal, we do have different resources for that. We have a suicidal hotline that we do provide. Mm-hmm. Choice also provides an emergency line. that everyone should have on their voicemail. So if a client feels that they have an emergency, they can always contact that emergency line as well.
How do you get your typical patient? Do you go to them? Do they come to you? Or does someone tip you? How do you find out? How do you get them?
Our clients?
Mm-hmm.
They normally come to us.
Really?
Yes.
And what is it that they're looking for when they come?
They're either seeking for housing, employment, benefits.
That's encouraging, though, if they're coming to you, no?
Not to me directly.
No, I don't mean you. No, I don't mean to you. I mean to Choice.
Right.
Because that means they're somewhat motivated.
Yes, exactly. That's definitely one of their strengths, is that they're open to seeking assistance and to bettering themselves.
And there are some people that don't. There's a woman that comes by here in a car just about every day. She's not here today. I don't know if she was intervened with, but she's pretty glib. She's there at 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, smoking a cigarette, goes in, buys coffee and a sandwich, comes back out, talks on her phone. But she's still on the street. Now that I'm just assuming that this is a person that doesn't want help. But what do you do if you approach someone and they say, "No, I like the way I'm living"? You just leave it alone, I guess, right? You can't do anything else.
I mean, you can only help a person who wants to be helped. If you can try to help them, but they're not going to be motivated unless they want to.
And I see that. What are your goals for the job?
My goals are to continue to train my staff effectively and to make them stay with the agency as long as they can.
Okay. If they leave, what's the biggest reason for leaving?
Normally, they just seek better opportunities outside of Choice.
Okay. And I know there are efforts being made to increase the pay. Again, I know that from my board as well. All right, Rudy, you're involved in a couple of other things. So you were laughing about.
No, you brought up the pay. That's funny.
Well, no, because it's important.
I know. Guy was here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he was. He talked about that
with the HR director Marcy, and they talked about some turnover and some of the things that we're trying to remedy that with. So
that's a good idea.
That's one of them. Yeah, absolutely.
When did you start the food pantry?
It's been a little bit, maybe a little over a year.
How does it work, and who uses it?
So Guy came to me and said, "What else can we do to help our clients?"
And by the way, this infamous guy is Guy Fessenden. He's the executive director of Choice.
You're going to meet his son in a couple of weeks.
Pardon?
Scott Fessenden, his son.
He's coming in?
I'll bring him in a couple of weeks. You'll see my face again before I leave.
Oh, God.
I know.
I thought usually I wait till Halloween. I'm sorry. You can't throw me a line like that. Are you crazy?
I keep lobbing them up for you.
Didn't you ever get the thing when you're at one of these nature preserves, you don't make eye contact with the animal, and you keep your arms and legs inside the tram.
Remember that. You got to next time I come in to see you.
All right, so go ahead.
So we had a discussion about what else can we bring to our clients, and we talked about creating a food pantry. I went up to Lake Mohegan Lake, whatever it is, and I worked with them for a couple of weeks. I'm from the Bronx. It was a long ride.
Clearly.
And Julie Maynor.
Yes, of course.
She's on our board as well. Good friend. So I went with her. We kind of saw how they were doing a pantry up there. Mm-hmm. And I came back and said, we can absolutely do that here. Obviously on a smaller scale than what they do. But we've been doing it a little bit over a year. The first 6 months, we had to show who we're connected with now, Feeding Westchester. That's who we get all of our food from. Mm-hmm. We had to show them that, we were a viable pantry and we checked all the boxes, and now we get our food through them. So in the last, I think, 11 months we've been with Feeding Westchester. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the numbers are actually, I got some numbers here.
Hey, give me the numbers.
Yeah. So you want the numbers?
Do you want my glasses?
I got you. No, you're funny.
No, I'm fine. He's looking at the numbers like they're going to explode on the table. It's just mind is a terrible thing to waste. No, ageism. I'm older than you are. You can't pull that one on.
But you play hockey, and you get hit a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, it has had an effect on me too.
It has. I know it has. The households. So in 11 months, we've gone over 1,900 households that we've helped.
That's wonderful.
Through and over 3,000 clients. So we're averaging every week are somewhere around 45 households and about 80 clients.
Now, are these the same people that are clients, or these could be anyone in need?
Right now, it's clients. We haven't opened it up to the community.
But that's pretty good.
It's excellent. I mean, it's still a small percentage of the clients that we have, because I know we have over 2,000 clients.
Wow.
But we get new clients every week. Is he asking a question?
Well, no,
Guy usually sends you questions.
Oh no, he didn't. No, guys, but he's not bothering us at all.
He should be up.
Oh no, he's probably
about
listening.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
He's probably listening.
West Coast.
Surly.
Uh-huh.
No, he's. I've been out there when when I go to my hockey tournament.
Oh, you
which
go to
I
Vegas?
do every year. I stop by. It's
Nice.
in Vegas. The over 50 tournament out there, national tournament.
I thought it was the 70s. You over 70 players.
Good, you like that.
You like that one. You
Good.
lobbed that one up for me.
Good. You got to remember, see, the deal is that we may as well have some fun with this because this young man here, Colin, is learning some of the ropes behind the scenes here. I have the mic 4 hours a day. I can throw you under the bus so repeatedly that you could become a mechanic, a certified mechanic. Now you were mumbling something about numbers.
Mumbling, yes, I was. So we've grown it out a little bit. We had talks about bringing it to this building here in Rochelle. We're out in White Plains, where we have our pantry, and we wanted a different experience for our clients. We didn't want, all right, everyone's lined up around the block waiting to come in, maybe feeling a certain way about that. So what we've done is we have the pantry for a specified amount of time on a Friday. They can come in other days, and their coordinator can go in and get them foods if they have an emergency. But we wanted an experience where the clients come in, they're met with their coordinator and taken to the room, and then they get to choose what they want. And then, is there any other services we can help you with? And then,
Now, do they usually stack up enough for the week or 2 weeks or just a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you have?
I manage.
Feeling hungry.
You're going Chinese later.
I already got the mayor here to send me some.
It's got to be non-perishables because we don't have a whole lot of refrigeration in that area. Yeah. But anything from tuna, ravioli, spaghetti, sauce, all. Yeah, I know you're licking your chops, but
is this right, Thalia? Go ahead.
But we're
elder abuse. That's what this is. Go ahead.
I got to see you play hockey.
Yeah. Do you know how many? I have a friend who actually, when he comes to my games, he puts $100 bill on the glass. Says anyone who knocks me on my butt gets the
100.
Yeah, like dodging people. Go ahead.
Do you have to be a player to do that? Because I can just run on the ice.
No, you can't. Another guy has a thing: free beer if you knock me. One guy knocked me down on the handshake line just to get a free beer.
Jesus.
That's because I'm a chop buster, as you probably figured out. Continue, Rudy.
So non-perishables, and we get a lot of the same clients every week. They know we're there. They can come in every week. So you're in essence getting 4 weeks worth of food a month. But
That's wonderful.
But we do see a lot of new clients because the word gets out. If we have a client who maybe can't get out of the house, we have our coordinators take it to their house as well. So
that's so excellent.
Yeah, so we've grown that out pretty good.
Of the 2,000, by the way, it just struck me, how many are still actually on the street, or most of the 2,000, do you have them at least in a shelter or a place to live?
I wouldn't know the numbers.
Would
That's
you know
more
that?
of a clinical.
I wouldn't know numbers, no.
Well, he's got a whole list of numbers that he can't interpret. He's unable to interpret them effectively.
I have how many goals you scored.
You can actually find that on the web. We won't go there. Okay. You also, and Rudy and I know one another for a while, so there's a little repartee here. You also, you're where the rubber meets the road when it comes to training, job prep. Tell us what that's like. And I know in that room you've got computers. I know you even teach people, I guess some of the care coordinators, how to apply for benefits and stuff. But tell us about job training first.
Well, we have one of the other visions that Guy wanted was to create something where we can help our clients become more employable. And so what I had done many years ago with the community outreach, I said, why don't we create a computer training? I mean, listen, I was doing the job readiness stuff, the interviewing, the resume creation, all that kind of stuff. And that's a really good way
that is so necessary, just to show up on time, dress properly.
Yeah, goal setting 101. But then when we were talking about hard skills, I said many of our clients never even touched a computer or don't know how to use Word or an email editor.
He's looking at me, Colin.
Yeah, and I don't see a computer. I do see a computer.
No, I got a whole bunch of
from the 70s.
Look at that is not. Well, we actually have 7 computers in here. 7.
Wow.
Of course, that's why he's here to learn them, so I don't have to do them.
You beat me to the joke.
Do you have to work for him? Do you have to interact with him?
No, I don't.
Thank God
for
you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
So we've had so much success in White Plains with creating the world of work that we kind of started doing that in Peekskill.
Define success.
Well, again, success can be, getting clients in the door, consistently.
And getting them some jobs.
Getting them jobs. You know.
Do you have relationships with certain businesses? Is there any type
I
of
do.
work?
I do. And then I create new ones based on what the client needs.
Can you get me a job?
I have a radio spot if you want it. It's right near the train station in Rochelle.
Yeah, that idiot runs that.
Was this like an old ticket taker?
No,
type
actually, you know
thing?
what this was, and of course Rudy's talking about the station at the station, the actual facility. No, this had been a cab stand at one point, and then a store. But when we looked at it, we said, "What a great place to have a radio station!" Which
easy to find.
Well, easy to find, but don't even start. Some of the people that were supposed to show up wound up in Kansas last week. But no, but the thing is, well, that has a lot to do with the way they changed the roads here.
Yeah,
because it's the only radio station. It's the only train station in Westchester that is not intuitive. In other words, it's in this little enclave,
right?
And you can't go in the front entrance anymore. So you can see it, but you can't get to it.
Yeah.
So you have to drive all the way around. But in general, why we chose it is anyone who parked the car literally has to walk by.
Has to walk all the way around.
Anyone who takes the bus has to walk by, and so. We made it open air so that people can see what we do. And so
I mean, it's nice digs. A little small. I mean, if I have to change my mind, I go outside.
I'm not a talker. Oh, really?
You like
That's
that?
maybe because you have a misshapen head. Maybe why don't we just go there? Why don't we just end it right there? If you have a swollen head, Thalia, did you ever consider that he might need some help himself?
Yes. Yes.
No.
1 in 5 have a mental illness.
No, but this is good. This is good what you're doing with people
Thanks.
in terms of getting them jobs and job training.
And we're growing it in Peekskill. We created a smaller version of the World of Work in Peekskill to kind of generate something in the community. And I think it's going to blow up really soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, give us I want to end the way I started with Thalia because she's the star of the show today for sure.
Already?
Almost, yeah. It's 9:54. See, I look over there.
Wow.
When you think I'm just looking over there, it's not that I have a tick. I have a clock under there that controls what I do when I do it. Thalia, where do they? I'm still trying to get into the soul of you and the people who do what you do. Again, everyone who comes here from Choice is always very open about how things work, what works well, what doesn't work well. But yet you seem encouraged. What is your hope for this job? Where do you see, not the job itself, but what do you see if we got the right funding, if we had the right resources? What do you think is possible for an organization like Choice?
To help the clients a lot more, it could be something as little as a little care package, a little package that has deodorant, toothbrush, soap, things like that,
Rudy
especially
could
for our
use that.
homeless clients. Just little incentives that we can give our clients, especially that can attract more
That is
clients.
nice. That is
and
nice.
also make more clients stay with us.
What kinds of reactions, and this is the first time I've asked this question in this whole series of interviews, what is the reaction of clients when they've really been helped? Is it appreciative? I know some are in situations where they appreciate it, but you'll never know because they're so caught up in what's going on. But do you ever see genuine appreciation from a client? And if so, what's that like?
Of course.
But how does it manifest?
I had a client one time who she had bed bugs in her apartment.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes. She didn't know how to get rid of the bed bugs, and she did everything that she could. Her son was helping her. Nothing was working out for her. So I gave her little tips. I was just looking online exactly what she can do. I referred her to her landlord. Maybe they can have an exterminator come by. Gave her some products. Referred her some products that she was able to buy, and everything worked out for her. I told her to throw out what she had to throw out, her sofa, her rug, her bed, everything, and I told her we would assist her with getting her furniture and replacing her furniture. So she was extremely grateful. She was so grateful that she wanted to hug me and cry.
I bet she did. Now, did you had the place fumigated, the furniture thrown out?
Right.
Thrown out. Great. I'm really good at English, right?
That was good.
You
Speak gooder than the last time I saw you.
And then, of course, I hate you, Rudy. Now, what about her clothing? Because that used to be, it needs to be washed and then sealed, and you did all that too? You had all that done for it? Or did you get rid of all of it?
No. Normally for the clothing, you can just wash it and dry it. The dryer will usually kill the bed bugs.
Okay,
so I told her to just wash it multiple times, dry it, and her clothes were fine.
But you had to get a new furniture.
Just the furniture she needed to
like
replace.
couches, things of that nature.
Right.
I bet you she was very grateful, huh?
She was extremely.
That must make the job worthwhile.
Right, it does.
So what's going to happen with you? You are a supervisor of choice now. You are a gunner. I could say gunnery because most people identify cannon officer or an enlisted officer. Where's your career going? What ultimately do you want to do?
With choice or in general?
In general.
Well, I would like to grow with choice.
I can tell.
Aside from being a supervisor, maybe I can grow within the agency. Aside from that, I would like to open up more businesses of my own.
You have a window washer. What else is on your mind?
Currently, I want to do a daycare.
Okay.
And
you want to do daycare? Do you have any children of your own?
No.
Okay.
I'm the oldest out of 7, but I don't
You're
have
the
any
oldest
children.
of 7. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, can you help Rudy in any way? Is there anything that you can do for him?
Oh my God, he just looked at me and said,
"No, I was
hysterical."
Now you could open up like a clinic, maybe help people grow hair. There's any number of things. Maybe lose a couple of pounds.
My cousin has an agency.
Yeah.
Oh well, she has a company. It's called Hair Bomb.
I know, I like it.
What do you mean,
Yeah.
Hair Bomb?
My wife
Hair
loves
Bomb?
it. My wife loves it.
What do you mean? What does she love?
My bald head.
That's,
And the rug looks really
Does
good.
she like-
I can smell the glue from
does
here.
she like peaches? There's no rug here. Does she like peaches as well? Because you do have a little bit of fuzz.
You're going to see her soon. No, I told you we're going to come back in a couple of weeks with Scott.
Okay.
And Thalia touched on, some of the food, not only that, the clothing and the toothbrushes and the, all that kind of stuff in a knapsack.
I like that.
It was Scott's idea to kind of touch base with Amazon and get some. I don't want to steal his thunder. He'll talk about that when he comes. But, I think you saw it at one of the board meetings.
Yes,
one
I
of the
did.
knapsacks with all the things that are included and some of the other things that he's helped the organization with. So you're going to
Now,
see him.
when you resell the ones that you stole,
Yes.
That's
Yeah, they're out of my
no,
trunk.
that is a wonderful idea. Now, before you go, Thalia, and I got it, but it took me all day, but I can, and Josa. You say it your way.
Thalia Hinojosa.
It's not a J. It's
Yeah, that
an
was similar
Hinojosa.
to what you said.
Thalia Hinojosa. No, I want to get it right. Thalia Hinojosa. What a bright young woman. Thank you for coming in. What would you like people to know that maybe I didn't ask you?
Well, Choice is a great agency. There are a lot of different opportunities within yourself and within our clients as well. So we do have the ability to grow and to assist our clients in the best way that we can.
Well, thank you. And Rudy, thanks for coordinating all this. You and I
Always.
have a lot of fun with each other, but you've been doing God's work now for a while.
Appreciate it,
Thank
my
you
friend.
very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll see you soon. And by the way, before you go, what does the Hair Bomb people do? What do they do?
Oh, it helps you grow hair.
Don't look at me.
How do they do it? Does it like a little tractor in his head? It goes bzzz and like create furrows?
All
or
right,
what is
all
it?
right.
He's turning
Oil.
oil.
It's an oil you just place on your hair,
Oil.
on your scalp, and it'll help you.
Can't you just see it dripping down? Look at
He wanted me to help
like
you,
an ice cream
Rudy.
cone in the summer. Rudy
I'll
Morgan,
see you
thank
soon,
you
my
very
friend.
much. My friends at Choice, thank you so much,
Thank
Thalia.
you.
What a wonderful day. All right, folks, that slams the lid on things. These delightful people from Choice, and I always say it, doing God's work. And it's people doing the work. I've got people to thank, so I will get to it right now. Vince Russo, John Bailey, Jake Schaefer for his production work, Al Tarantino, Andy Spano, Mayor Noam Bramson. Of course, Mitch called in today. So too did Tom from Pelham. And, of course, Rudy Burgers, Jobs Program Administrator, Director of Health and Wellness at Choice, along with Thalia Hinojosa, Client Care Supervisor at Choice. We'll be talking with them again next week. We will see you tomorrow at 6:30, but first we need to thank our sponsors, the United Hebrew of New Rochelle, a top-rated campus of senior care. Visit uhgc.com. Aging Issues Management and their partners, Aging Issues Radio, the law firm of Payne & Khan, Plug-in Virtual Reality, and Dominic's Fine Cigars. We will be back here tomorrow at 6:30 to do this all over again. I'm going to drink a bottle of Purell and make sure I'm safe. Thank you so much for listening.